Keeler Show today. It's time to read the news and weather. Time to figure out what to say. It's time to turn the channel of the Keeler Show today. Why do we always listen?
Keeler's always in the know.
It makes me want to call him
And tell him where to go.
And now let's get things started. Andrew, let's get things started.
It's time to get things started.
On the most sensational, inspirational, celebrational, Keelerational. This is what we call the Keeler Show.
WIBX 950 and 1069 FM. This is Keeler.
Well, good morning. It's 6:23, and it is Friday morning. I don't know if that means anything to you, but Davey, what is going on with your Mets? I mean your Yankees. There's almost the same thing right now. No offense.
Yeah, they're down 2-0. And
Well, they come home now, though, right?
yeah, for the next three.
Next 3 games.
Framber Valdez is tough, and Verlander struck out 11 the other night. I mean, the Yankees can't. I don't know how many times I'm going to watch them stand these bounce back. The Yankees 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 bounce back this weekend.
It looks familiar, though, doesn't it? Syracuse at Clemson, and Davey's all dressed in his Syracuse gear. What you don't know is he's wearing like a snow cap. What do they call that? What is that? Like a beanie?
A knit cap.
Yeah,
a
because
knit
I gotta keep my bald head warm.
Yeah, you do. He's got a Syracuse hat on. He's got a Syracuse shirt on. A little while ago, he was showing us his Syracuse socks. I don't want to go further because this is not R-rated. But Davey is all tricked out and geared up and ready to go for tomorrow. I got to tell you something. I think Syracuse could win this game tomorrow.
I think so too, because we had lunch with Scott from Kirkville yesterday, and
What did Scott say? Because Scott's a big bettor. He knows his betting.
well, Jeff, you were there. What?
I don't remember what he said
Not
about
that
the
it's
Cuse game, to be honest.
Legal to bet Syracuse in New York, which is the dumbest thing in the world.
As a matter of fact, that's what I remember him saying. It's so stupid. I don't understand why I can't bet Syracuse in New York. He actually, we talked a bit about that. He also made the point about how, for a lot of people, especially if you're in the city, you just take a 5-minute ride. You cross a state line. You're in New Jersey or Philadelphia or Pennsylvania or Connecticut.
You can bet any other school that you may have affiliation with. You could very well. I mean, this is a small country, a small region, a small Northeast, a small world. The thought is that you might have connections to a New York school or what? I don't even know. But it's the dumbest thing in the world. Syracuse, what is the current – see what the current line is on the game.
It's 12.5 from what I seen yesterday.
Okay, it went so that would mean it went down. It was like 13.5. So I don't know. Everybody,
that means people are betting Syracuse. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
At the very least, you would think they'd be able to hopefully keep it within 2 touchdowns. But I don't know. I don't think the conversation should be absent of Syracuse winning the game. I mean, it's a long shot. Clemson just doesn't lose at home, and this is their biggest test yet of the season. For
2016 was the last time they lost, and I mentioned this to you the other day, against Pittsburgh.
They did. There you go. There you go.
Okay.
So according to the record, they're on a 35-game winning streak down there.
At home.
At home.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, there you go. I mean, there you go. So that's tomorrow. Football, for the most part, NFL this weekend, everybody's on, except for the Bills aren't playing this weekend.
Yeah, Bills are on a bye. Again, another Sunday afternoon. What's Bill going to do with all of his time?
Believe me, I have a long list.
Yeah.
It's been handed to me early this week. She's very excited that the Bills aren't playing on Sunday. All right, let's talk about a lot of stuff. Yesterday was a very busy day, and in part in Utica. I guess I didn't realize this whole alert system you can sign up for, but you'll get an alert on your phone or through email that'll tell you there's a lock in place or there's some sort of a danger. And that alert went out yesterday that on, I forget the name of the street yesterday, that there was some sort of an incident, and it was telling residents, please stay in your home. Then, almost at the very same time, there was an incident that was happening at an elementary school in Utica, at Jones School, and that, we believe, was what is called a SWAT incident. That is where someone calls to 911 and says there's an active shooter at a home or in a business or at a school, and in this case, it was the school. So authorities came thinking there was an active shooter, and there wasn't.
Fortunately, nothing happened.
This is stuff like this.
Disgusting.
Very dangerous. And when it happens in someone's home, you have police bursting in through your door, sometimes in the middle of the night when people are sleeping. And you never know. Is there somebody that protects themselves? They have a gun right by their bed. You now pull the gun. It's a cop. You don't know it's a cop. I mean, these things can end horrifically. Obviously, a little bit different in a school setting, but scared the daylights out of a lot of parents, teachers, and everybody else yesterday.
Yeah, Utica police say they've received several of these kind of calls, these swatting calls, over the last week or so. And they're investigating if they're related. It would seem on the surface that they probably are. But, so, okay, there were two separate incidents. The first one started shortly after 11 yesterday. Now, this was in the area of Bristol Street. There was a domestic incident, and there was a report that shots were fired in that incident. So after the individual police were trying to speak with, or that had been called, who was involved in the domestic incident, he went from one home to another home. Utica police felt it was best to go into lockdown mode for the neighboring schools there. They had a crisis negotiator talking with this gentleman. Ultimately, he was taken into custody without further incident, and he was sent to the hospital for a mental evaluation.
That was one
precautionary,
incident, separate.
Right.
That was on Stevens Street. I don't even know where that is.
It was Bristol, and then I'm not sure which school is on Stevens.
Well, the Stevens, the alert that came out from New York State said that there was an incident on Stevens Street. I guess I don't know where Stevens Street is, but either way, and Utica Police isn't listing Stevens Street as the street, but this is the alert that came through the New York alert system.
And then a little over an hour later was the swatting incident that you outlined, where they received calls of an active shooter at Jones Elementary School. So obviously the cops rush over there. Fortunately, they proceed with caution. Nobody was injured, but I was actually told by a couple of parents that it was not something they want to hear from their kids ever again. Because some of the kids kind of got really scared about it. I understandably
and
so.
Then,
but
then texting their parents. Now the fear is there's an active shooter, and this is a terrible story that hits around the country, and it's pretty darn scary. But all of these cases are what is called swatting, where the police are getting a call that there's an active shooter. They arrive at the scene and find out there's nothing. So that's what yesterday was. A very busy day in Utica. And a lot of talk yesterday about, and later on this morning, we'll have Katie Aiello on, who's with the Common Council, also a business owner over there on Genesee Street, on this new traffic pattern. People are not feeling very good about it. Joe Beatrice is in the OD this morning. You know, Joe, of course, worked for years with Coca-Cola. His concern is, where are people along all of those businesses? Where are these businesses going to unload their, whether it's food or beverage or stock that's being unloaded at the many businesses along there on Genesee Street? But there's apparently, you'll use the middle lane. How do you do that? The middle lane of Genesee Street. And you will see this sort of thing in New York City or in major cities, but I don't see it here. it becomes a little bit of a dangerous situation. Beatrice, I think, is right. Now you're unloading your truck in the middle of Genesee Street, and then you're carrying your stuff across a lane and over to the business. That's what they'll end up having to do along that stretch of Genesee Street.
Yeah, but they're doing it to make it safer for the thousands of bicyclists who are constantly up and down Genesee Street. I mean, we have to think of everybody's safety here, Bill.
I just
I mean, there are thousands. They're up and down all day on Jenny on the bicycles.
I'm feeling your sarcasm.
Yes, thank you.
I don't know that this, and I'll tell you that last night, and we'll speak with her coming up on Monday. I got to pull this up from last night. The Linda Iannone, or is it Iannone?
I believe it's Iannone.
Either way, press release came out from the Stanley Theater. And I would like to invite you and all members of the council to a load-in of a Broadway show this Tuesday from 7 a.m. until noon. There you will see how multiple tractor-trailers arrive and back up over Genesee Street, requiring all 4 lanes because of their size to back into our theater's loading dock. The dock can only hold 2 trailers. If there are more than 2 trailers, which is most often the case, the trailers and rigs need to be staged in the street across from the theater. We always work with the Utica Police Department on this issue, but this traffic pattern would change all of that. I think there should be some sort of attention paid to the fact that you have so many businesses that seem to be against this new traffic pattern. I think they should pay attention. Look, I think the mayor should pay attention.
I'm obviously being sarcastic here with the bicycle comment. I could see some difficulties, but let me say this. Anytime you, and I feel like this is more Utica than anything, anytime you change something, people lose it. They go nuts. They don't want to change nothing. It's the way it was. I want to keep it that way. Don't tell me it's better. It works just fine the way it is.
I do agree.
So maybe this is a positive thing that people aren't yet embracing, but the initial reaction to it is this is, again, a situation where people who aren't involved in this, people on the outside, and I know they're counselors in the city, but they make a decision not understanding the impact of what they're changing.
So
that's the reaction, the initial.
You are on both sides of the fence with that, with what you just said. So it's possible, and you're right, it's possible that this is just typical upstate New York stubbornness.
Yeah.
We don't want change. What do you mean a roundabout? I've never heard of such a thing.
Right.
We don't need that. Versus maybe the complaints are justified. Maybe the complaints are bringing up some very good points, like how are we going to do A, B, and C as a business here on Genesee Street? But I'll tell you something even beyond that. The new traffic pattern that exists, and I don't completely know. I had someone chewing my ear off about this yesterday, and even sent me a video. But the new traffic pattern along Oriskany Street and Genesee Street is causing all sorts of backups now that didn't exist before the change in the traffic pattern. So there are benefits. I like the fact that if you're coming from the east on Oriskany Street, you can actually make a left-hand turn on a Genesee Street as opposed to continuing down and then looping around and having to. I like that.
Yeah.
I like how you can make a left-hand turn onto Oriskany Street from Genesee Street. But whatever was done with the reduction of lanes there in that intersection is causing on a daily basis a backup of traffic that didn't exist before. And it's not because of an increase. But the worry is if the traffic is backed up as much as it is now because of the traffic pattern change, what will it be like when the hospital and Nexus are both active? Now, I had a person send me a video yesterday, and this was middle of the afternoon. The traffic had gotten so bad over there at the intersection, so you're coming down Genesee Street and maybe going straight up to North Genesee Street, or turning left onto Oriskany, and traffic was backed up there along in Franklin Square in that area. It was the traffic, and I saw a video of it. The traffic was backed all the way up past the Gold Dome Bank. That's how far it went. So you imagine you're sitting there for 10, 15 minutes in traffic where that never used to occur.
Yeah, I always joke that, if anybody ever, in Utica ever tells you that they were running late because of traffic, you can look right at them and go, "You're lying because there's no traffic around
There's no
here.
traffic.
It's
Wow.
not true." And
I'm almost thinking like we've decided we want to be like the big cities and have traffic, so we're going to create some.
Well, and I almost thought that was the motivation behind the middle lane unloading. But let me go back to the both sides. I'm not here to tell. I don't study traffic. I've just driven in it. I don't know if this is a good thing that's been fully thought out yet. I'm just telling you, maybe it is. But the initial reaction is everybody's going, "What are they thinking?"
Yeah.
Okay.
Davey, who's on one?
Teresa on the traffic pattern.
Okay. All right. Let me bring her in. She has a little insight into this, but I think you're, at the very least, Christine, people are up in arms.
Always about these kind of things.
They are, but I'm wondering if maybe they might have something here this time. Here's Teresa. Hi, Teresa. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm a little puzzled.
Yeah.
I know that when they were repaving Genesee earlier, they actually did some changes to the traffic pattern.
They did.
And is this the same area that they're talking about doing this change?
No, this would actually be along Genesee, so from Franklin Square all the way up past, all the way up almost to almost Oneida, where Oneida Street in Oneida Square, almost all the way up there, past Munson Williams.
I think they did Oneida Circle, and somewhere in that area, it was even including Cottage Place area right in front of the library and such. And when they did that, that made people go, shall we say, a little berserky.
Right. There we go. Nice.
And when they did that there wasn't enough space for people to be making the left-hand turns and such, and it even got rid of some parking spaces in the process.
It did.
Okay.
And one of the things, if you remember, they had said the solution would be is what people need to start doing is not going on Genesee Street and using some of the side streets instead of Genesee Street. But that, I'm not sure that's a great solution either.
Well, I do know that I know people who use Sunset instead.
Right. And I think that's what some have suggested. So I don't know, Teresa. This is
Sunset has some zigs and zags, and although there's less stop signs and traffic lights, there's more people that don't expect that traffic.
Yeah. And
jaywalk and so forth on that street.
This is going to be interesting, and a conversation this morning in the 8 o'clock hour will be interesting with Katie Aiello from the council. We'll speak with her. Also,
we'll also talk to Joe Beatrice as well.
And Beatrice.
And the other concern I have is winter's coming up, and so we're already going to have narrow streets.
Right, because of the...
and how many bicycles are going to be on the street in the winter?
Good point, Teresa.
Thousands.
You're nailing them all this morning. Thank you, Teresa. You have a wonderful day.
You have a blessed one yourself.
All right,
Bye
thanks.
now.
Wow.
I love her energy in the morning.
Yeah, she's raring to go.
Well, we'll give her your number. So can I mention as well that to the point about the traffic pattern? Now, this was a couple of weeks ago, and I openly complained about this the Monday after. So there was a lane reduction for, I don't know if it was a disabled vehicle or if DOT was doing something. Then there was also that Lax-Nye lacrosse tournament out in the parking lot.
Right.
And then that was on a Friday. Then on Saturday, a part of Genesee Street was closed for paving. And I'll tell you, Friday afternoon was a nightmare with the lane reduction on Oriskany Street. And then Saturday was really touch and go because people don't have any patience because they're not used to traffic around here. So having to go around the situation with the paving on Genesee Street.
People go nuts because, as you say, they're not used to sitting in traffic. 6:41, I want to switch gears a little bit and go to Tanya J. Powers. Biden's student loan forgiveness program was getting or has been getting some resistance in court. But news is out. Tanya J. Powers is with us right now. Tanya, good morning.
Hey, good morning. And I don't know who your caller was, but I'm with Christine. I love her energy. I have what she's having.
Yeah, early in the morning, energy early on. That's a big deal.
And she's always that way.
Yeah, she is.
I love it. Absolutely. I hope she's still listening. You do you, honey. We like it.
All right, I agree. All right, what do we know on the courts looking at Biden's student loan forgiveness?
Well, what we found yesterday was that there have been a couple of these lawsuits that have been, kind of tried. One of them had requested to sort of be fast-tracked a decision on some of this. One of them, the St. Louis federal judge, dismissed an effort by 6 Republican-led states. That was Nebraska, Missouri, Arkansas, Iowa, Kansas, and South Carolina. They were trying to block the student loan forgiveness plan. The reason that the federal judge dismissed that was he said the states failed to establish that they had standing. So he said the court lacked jurisdiction to hear the case. By the way, this federal judge was nominated to the court in 2002 for the, I think, Eastern District. Let me make sure I got the court name right. He's in the, I believe he's in the Eastern District of, I can't remember exactly which state now.
Yeah.
I don't have it in front of me, but I know he was nominated by former President George W. Bush. The states have said that they will appeal. The other one that's making a lot of headlines also happened yesterday. The Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett rejected an appeal from a Wisconsin taxpayers group that wanted to stop the debt cancellation program as well. So two rejections kind of in one day on the same sort of thing.
And what I see, Clarence Thomas had a decision last week that was not in favor of the request by President Trump. It is interesting to see these justices, no matter who they're appointed by, making decisions that are independent of their appointees' philosophies, would you say? It's not. It shows that once they get there, while they may lean in a certain direction, which I believe they all do. Some are liberal, some are conservative. But on many of these cases, Tanya, you get a surprise decision, not the decision you thought you would have gotten.
I think the Barrett decision did surprise several folks.
Yeah,
I mean, and this is, each one has to be taken as they are. Obviously there have been some things that they have, the conservative majority on the court has banded together for. But she also didn't make any comments on the rejection of the appeal from this taxpayers group, which was also interesting. I thought that was kind of interesting. She didn't have any. There's no other kind of clue there with any comments that she might have made. So interesting.
Yep, no doubt. And Tanya, by the way, and I don't know what it's going to be like in the city this weekend, but we're looking at warmer temperatures by next week. We may be even close to the mid-70s by next week. Crazy.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's going to be listen, if you're going to be looking for hot weather, you're going to have to come to the North Country. That's just the way it is. So, all right.
It looks like for the next several days, we're just going to have like rain. We all I see is a little cloud with drops from Sunday to Sunday.
Oh boy, you need to come upstate where the sun shines. Very rarely.
I think this is a good time to do that.
It's a good time to do it. There's no doubt. The leaves have changed color. It's a good time to come up here. So, okay, Tanya, have a wonderful weekend. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Tanya J. Powers. Mike says we need the bike lane in Utica in the wintertime so Cowboy can use it to gather his recyclable cans. Mike, that is just so true. Did you see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have an even record right now at 3-3? Which, by the way, is still a tie for first place in the NFC South. Tom Brady this week has talked about retirement all over again. Did you see that?
And I think this is to save his marriage.
I think it was a joke, though. I mean,
really?
What is he joking about it for when he's in the middle of a Christine, you're shaking your head. He's in the middle
I can't believe he came out and did that.
A marital dispute. He's in the middle of marital troubles over the fact that he's still playing, and he comes out with a joke yesterday about retiring.
I thought that the information about that story was conjecture and a joke, but it's not. He said that.
He keeps getting asked, of course, if he'll retire. This was his response.
Well, that's really why I'm here. I'm here to announce, finally, you guys pushed me to the brink. No, I think a lot of it for me is just us going out there to, I love the sport and I love the teammates and I want to go do a great job for this team like I always have.
In other words,
no retirement in my future.
Oh, boy.
Thank you guys.
Yeah,
Appreciate
just
it.
dug it in.
In other words, I love the teammates. I love my teammates more than my wife.
More than my wife.
Yeah.
Yep.
I always wondered about that. I don't know. I don't see him a big wife guy. I don't see Tom. I mean, Tom Brady's a football guy. I really think that Tom Brady's love of football is greater than his love of anything else in the world.
Except maybe his children. He does.
Maybe, but maybe not.
Listen,
I don't know.
If the
Well,
leaves,
one of his children is going to play football, I think, or trying to.
Well, then that would be something that would be a common denominator for the two of them. Jeff?
I would say if the leaves are changing and it's getting a bit colder in the air, there's only one place Tom Brady deserves to be, and that's sitting in front of a fire, crocheting a blanket, not on the football field.
Yeah, I think it's time. Today is the International Day of the Nacho. We proudly celebrate International Day of the Nacho. Nachos originated in the city of Piedras Negras, Mexico. In 1943, the wives of U.S. soldiers visited a restaurant called the Victory Club after it had closed for the day. The maitre d', Anya, invented a new snack for them with what little he had available in the kitchen, tortillas and cheese. He cut the tortillas into triangles, added cheddar cheese, and sliced jalapeno peppers. He then served the dish, calling it nachos especiales. And that's true. I mean, I'm not making it up, is what I'm trying to say.
We didn't think you were.
Yeah, that makes today the International Day of the Nachos. So, and nachos have just gotten so creative, right? You can get shrimp nachos, loaded nachos, super loaded nachos. I mean, cheeseburger nachos. I mean, nachos, there is no rule that prevents you from getting creative with a nacho.
It's just like a salad almost, and I would say that the salad is more like Christine's cup of tea, if you will. But you lay down a bed of lettuce, and then you just go nuts, and you throw whatever you want on top of it.
Whatever you want.
The nacho, with the nacho combo, you lay down a bed of potato chips, and that's like your bed of lettuce. And then you just cover it with whatever you want, and it tastes delicious.
I could do the bed of potato chips with stuff on it, but I am not a nacho girl.
I find I don't like the messiness. I only end up getting 3 or 4 that I'm happy with, and the rest is just a mushy mess. It's not for me either.
So
while we're talking,
the 3 or 4 I get, I love because they're loaded up with all the things you like.
Right.
But then you get to the bottom, and they're all mushed up with the sour cream.
The unnacho. They're just a
oof.
plate for everything else.
You're right.
72 has the trash can nacho
Well,
thing.
that's exactly what we're kind of talking about. Those are really good.
And those are delicious.
They're
so good.
An update of those fire daycare workers in Mississippi. Did you see this? Caught on camera scaring toddlers with a Halloween mask. Those 5 employees have been charged with child abuse. 4 of them were charged with felonies. Here's the mother of one of the children in the video, Caitlin Johnson, talking about the charges against the daycare workers.
I was in complete shock of what I witnessed. Whether they had a mask on or the mask off, their behavior was unacceptable. My blood pressure was raised. It broke my heart for my child. I was angry. I hope you're enjoying jail, and I hope you realize what you've done is serious.
This woman is, she is angry about this. And you know what? I don't blame her because her child had been basically tortured emotionally. Why would you go down that road? And if you watch the video, these people are really scared. It's like a horror movie that these kids are going through. I think I would have. It's easy to look at the story on the surface and be like, "Come on, these people are overreacting." But when you look at what these kids ended up going through and their reaction, I'm not sure it was a wise decision. Yeah, but it's Halloween. Come on.
They'll always be afraid for the rest of their lives.
Well, maybe. Yeah.
You know? Or
Maybe.
they'll have a negative connotation with Halloween.
Meanwhile, I love these people. I love these people who are like, oh, back in the day, you used to be able to scare kids. Today, you can't even scare them. Everybody's so wheezy. We're all turned into a bunch of snowflakes. That's what we are. Meanwhile, God forbid somebody sets off a fireworks display in their neighborhood and their dog goes yelping down into the basement. They're all up in arms over the dog.
Yeah.
Well, that scares my dog. Come on. You got to stop that. But it's okay to see the kids just scared to death, practically. I mean, it's just crazy. All right, I have a major piece of news here this morning. That is, take it for what it is. I'm just going to tell you. This is enormous. We have discovered the greatest dog in the world. The greatest animal. The greatest man's best friend. The most talented dog in the history of the world. And you know why? Because this dog does on the golf course what every man or woman would like the dog to do. Collects lost golf balls.
Oh.
At this point, this cute little pup has collected more than 6,000 golf balls. Brings them, imagine being this dog's owner. I mean, you never lose a ball. The ball goes into the woods, into the water, doesn't matter. The dog goes in and grabs the ball.
You know, that is, from another standpoint, a great side business to resell these found balls. You pay your labor, you pay your worker treats.
Correct.
You pay them in treats.
You give them a freaking biscuit, okay? It's unbelievable. This is the greatest invention of training ever. The cute puppy is making headlines after collecting nearly 6,000 golf balls during his career over the years, and his owner donates the golf balls to charity to make it even a greater story. Here's the dog's owner, Charles Jefferson, talking about when he realized his dog, Mario, had a knack for finding golf balls.
The first time he went into a bush and came out with the tightest bravery one, and I thought, this is a miracle. And about 10 minutes later, he then went on a fairway and picked up a golfer's golf ball. And I thought, maybe not great. So we've had to educate him.
Well, that's a problem. Like, all of a sudden you bring your dog onto the golf course and the foursome ahead of you hits the ball in, makes a perfect shot, and all of a sudden your dog goes grabbing the ball. Can't have that. The dog has to know, get this ball, not this ball. Dog, the ball goes into the water, the dog gets the ball out of the water. But I think it's, if you can train this dog properly, which it seems like these people have, the dog Mario is a real treat for the golf course.
That is awesome.
And could be a moneymaker as well, as Jeff said, because there are a lot of people who turn around and resell. A lot of golf courses will sell the used balls. Very seldom do you see a golf ball with bite marks on it, but, it is what it is.
I don't know, because of the texture and what it's made out of, I don't think you could leave a bite mark in a ball. I think they're
You might not be able to.
You just polish it off, and you just say it's been gently used, and then you throw the dog a biscuit. Nice job, buddy.
A customer at a McDonald's drive-thru was complaining about not getting sauce, but the employee wasn't having it. I think that people at this point, in some cases, have reached their limit. Like
on sauce packages?
All it takes is the straw that could break the drive-thru worker's back, and it's exactly what happened here. Immediately, the drive-thru worker, when the person was complaining about the sauce, just started throwing ice at the person in the car.
Oh, my God.
It went viral. I'm not going to play it. You can only imagine what happened there.
I would say it's a little different. Look, I've had the situation before where I've got my nuggets and I want my sauce, but unless the person did something that was like disrespectful as far as the way they were talking to the attendant or the worker there, you can't be. They're 25 cents. They charge you an extra if you take more than you're supposed to. They charge you 25 cents a packet. You can't be losing your job over something that costs the company 25 cents. Just give him the honey mustard.
Give it to him
and send him on his way.
There's so many situations where it's not your sauce.
Right.
And I know you're trying to protect the company, but people sometimes will act like, that's my sauce. You're taking it from me. How dare you? Like if I were a police officer, I'd be, if I pulled somebody over speeding, I'd walk up to the car and I'd be like, boy, I'd be doing the same thing. Honestly, I would be. But I unfortunately have to ticket you, right? The problem is sometimes it's personal to them. It's like, how dare you speed on my highway? Don't look at it that way. High five him like, wow, this is the biggest one I've gotten this week. I am so excited. Now, I'm going to ticket you, but I just want you to know, high five over here. Ha, come on.
That's funny.
I love that approach.
Right? Why stress the little things in life?
Right.
There's no reason.
That ticket's going to cost you about $400, but you've got a beer at the bar the next time on me.
You do. This was something. And the way you were weaving in and out of the left and right lanes there, that was, man. You can kill somebody, right? Just be careful out there. Here's your ticket. And today is also Back to the Future Day. October 21st, 2021 was that the date, or was it October 21st, 2022 or 2020? Whatever it was, in Back to the Future, they go into the future and it's October 21st.
I have no idea what it was, but I would.
And that's today, October 21st.
Love to have that book where it's all the sports winners, where all the World Series and the Super Bowl winners for betting purposes.
Right. That would come in handy. And then Hurricane Ian, this was awesome. Hurricane Ian did some terrible things, but Hurricane Ian blew away so many layers of a billboard in Florida that it revealed an advertisement from 1996.
What?
That's the one thing where people are like, oh, that's cool. It revealed a 1996 advertisement for a Dodge Caravan. That's real. It just it happened during the hurricane. Thought I'd throw that in there. Got a break. We have news, the real stuff, coming up next on WIBX.
I'm Mary Finnegan, and I'm running for Oneida County Clerk. I'm the youngest of 7, and we still live locally. My dad was a World War II veteran, and my 95-year-old mom remains the backbone of our family. As a single mom working 2 jobs, I decided to run for public office and kept the job of town clerk in Whitestown for the last 17 years. Now I want to take that experience and serve the people of Oneida County. In Whitestown, I pushed to modernize the town offices and submitted and won a grant that brought our records department into the 21st century. All of this, and we still kept the public's information safe. If you elect me clerk, I'll do the same for Oneida County. I also understand the importance of customer service, working well with others, and recognizing people's strengths. If elected, the DMV will be my top priority. Designated lines, DMV navigators, and good old-fashioned customer service is where I'll begin on day 1. If you need a county clerk who can hit the ground running on day 1, then I am the right person for the job. I'm Mary Finnegan, and I would so appreciate your vote this November for Oneida County Clerk. Paid for by the Friends of Mary Finnegan.
Ladies and gentlemen, Louis Black.
Get ready for the comedy of Louis Black, the King of Rant, performing live at the Stanley Theater in Utica, Friday, March 3rd at 8 p.m.
Why was their marriage so successful? It's because they never heard a word the other one said.
Louis Black with special guest Jeff Stilson. Tickets available through Ticketmaster or by calling the Stanley Theater box office at 315-724-4000.
And by God, you feel good for at least an hour and 15 minutes.
Louis Black at the Stanley Theater, Friday, March 3rd. Tickets now on sale.
Mark Rose's experience is unique. City Court Judge in Little Falls for the last 14 years. Visiting Judge for Utica. As a 30-year practicing attorney, Mark Rose has argued cases at all levels up to the Court of Appeals. He's served as a municipal attorney in towns and villages across New York's 5th Judicial District. And now Mark Rose is running for State Supreme Court to serve all of us. Experience, integrity. Mark Rose for State Supreme Court.
Paid for by the committee to elect Mark Rose for State Supreme Court.
WIBX 950, Utica, Rome.
The former Trump White House advisor who refused to cooperate with the Democrat-led House committee investigating last year's Capitol riots.
The Justice Department is seeking a 6-month prison term for Steve Bannon, a former top aide to former President Donald Trump. Prosecutors say Bannon should get a penalty harsher than the minimum of 1 month in jail and also wants Bannon to be fined $200,000.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. The committee subpoenaed Bannon to testify about giving details on Trump's attempts to overturn election results. A federal appeals court has ruled Republican Senator Lindsey Graham must testify before a grand jury about attempts to overturn Joe Biden's win in Georgia. Graham's claimed his being a senator shields him from that testimony. A victory in court for President Biden, his program to let millions of Americans wipe out thousands of dollars in federal student loan debts.
Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett unilaterally rejecting an appeal from a Wisconsin tax group seeking to block the debt forgiveness program. Also Thursday, a judge dismissed a lawsuit filed by 6 Republican-led states challenging the forgiveness program.
Fox's Steve Rappaport. President Biden campaigned in Pennsylvania last night for John Fetterman, the Democrat trying to win what's now a Republican Senate seat.
At a fundraiser, Fetterman blasted Republican opponent Dr. Mehmet Oz, who's been critical of Fetterman's health since the Democrat had a stroke. Fetterman told the crowd, "What kind of doctor roots for a person who is sick to stay sick?" Oz told Fox this week Fetterman spending a fortune to beat him.
We're expecting another $10 million coming against us. And it's a panic move because they know they're in trouble.
Fetterman and Oz are slated to debate next week.
Fox's Jill Nato. European leaders meet today discussing more humanitarian aid for Ukraine after Russian attacks destroyed a third of Ukraine's energy infrastructure. The U.S. says Russian leader Vladimir Putin, despite denials, is getting drones he's using for bombings from Iran.
This is another sign of just how brutal Mr. Putin is willing to be.
National Security Council spokesman John Kirby. America's listening to Fox News.
When you're an innovative business, every blinking cursor, every blank page is an opportunity. What will you do with it? Will you make something better or create something new? Our Dell Technologies advisors provide you with tools and expertise to do incredible things. Because we believe there's an innovator in all of us. For advice on smart PCs powered by Intel vPro that's built for business, call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
Smith & Wesson is committed to empowering Americans, no matter what. With inflation hitting everywhere, we've decided to make a change. Now, you can buy a Smith & Wesson Shield Plus, our most popular concealed carry firearm, at an all-new low price, $100 off MSRP. We're absorbing the costs and passing along the savings to you, so you don't have to compromise on personal security. Visit smithandwesson.com to find a Shield Plus near you. Smith & Wesson, always expect the best.
Good morning, WIBX. First news with Keeler in the morning news. Time is 7:03. It is Friday, October 21st. Your news is brought to you by Baird Private Wealth Management, a strong financial partner for 100 years. Visit bairdoffices.com/Utica for more information. 36 degrees. We'll have your full forecast coming up in just 2 minutes. An Ilian woman facing several charges after being accused of altering her paycheck to ensure that she received between $500 and $2,000 extra dollars in each paycheck. An accounting firm noted the discrepancies and alerted the employer, who happens to be a local attorney. The UPD arrested 42-year-old Karen Durant and charged her with grand larceny and falsifying business records. A man being charged after he allegedly paid for a drink with a fake $100 bill. Utica Police Department says 58-year-old Maurice Jones enjoyed a beverage at the bar at Applebee's on Horatio Street after allegedly paying with a phony bill. State police got involved, and after examining surveillance video from some other incidents, it's believed that the gentleman is also the same person who allegedly took items from a local Price Chopper a few days later without paying for those items. Some brand new data from the state shows the spread of coronavirus is once again on the decline in central New York. The 7-day average infection rate is sitting at 8.08%. At this time last week, that infection rate was at 10.01%. It's recommended people get vaccinated against the virus and receive a booster shot to prevent another surge in cases and hospitalizations. And speaking of hospitals, the Federal Trade Commission is criticizing a proposal that would lead to a merger between SUNY Upstate Medical and Crouse Health. That agency believes the partnership would lead to less pay for employees, higher patient costs, and also negatively impact the quality of care that people receive. The Federal Trade Commission is now requesting the state health department deny that merger plan. A Central New York man arrested by state police after being accused of committing crimes considered disturbing by most. Troopers say 56-year-old Joseph Takash allegedly downloaded and uploaded images of child porn across several devices. He then allegedly shared those images with other people using the internet. He's now facing multiple felony charges and is being held at the Onondaga County Justice Center. Your WIBX Weather Center forecast is brought to you by Clinton Tractor, the leader in service. Visit them today at clintontractor.net. Mostly sunny today, the high near 60 degrees. Mostly clear tonight with a low around 41. Saturday, sunshine with a high near 68. Mostly clear Saturday night with a low around 46. We'll continue the gorgeousness on Sunday, mostly sunny with a high near 70. Partly cloudy Sunday night with a low around 47 degrees. Mostly sunny with a high near 67. Partly cloudy Monday night with a low around 49. And temperatures, at least right now, look like they will be in the lower 70s on both Tuesday and Wednesday. Something definitely to look forward to. Your temperature brought to you by Country Suburban, your premier Lennox dealer. 36 right now. WIBX 950 AM and 106.9 FM news time is 7:06. Here's Jeff Manaski with sports.
All right, thank you, Christine. The Yankees in a 2-0 series hole in the American League Championship Series. They lost in Houston again last night, a final of 3-2. Alex Bregman, a big 3-run home run, was all the offense the Stros needed. The Yankees did score a couple of unearned runs. A good outing from Luis Severino, except for the one home run. The Yankees welcome the Stros to the Bronx for Game 3 coming up on Saturday. The National League Championship Series was off last night. It resumes tonight in Philadelphia. Padres and Phillies tied at a game apiece. Thursday Night Football on WIBX. The Arizona Cardinals with a 42-28 victory over the New Orleans Saints last night, a game you heard right here on WIBX. 42-34, excuse me. The game was brought to you by Tri-County Heating and Air Conditioning. Coming up this weekend, the New York Giants are in Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars, and the Jets are taking on the I've lost it now. Smitty, help me out. Who do the Jets play this weekend? The Denver Broncos. Thank you. Appreciate it. Bills are on a bye. Locally, the Utica Pioneers men's hockey team will play an exhibition at the Adirondack Bank Center tomorrow night. Their opponent is SUNY Potsdam. The Pioneers open the season next Friday. Utica University football 6-0, a major showdown at Gaetano Stadium tomorrow. They'll host SUNY Cortland, who comes in also with a record of 6-0.
Huge game. I know we're talking about Syracuse-Clemson, but this battle tomorrow between Utica and Cortland is enormous. Two undefeated teams. Expect tailgating parties and all of that over at Gaetano Stadium. It's going to be big.
And nice weather, too. It's a 1 p.m. kickoff over at Utica University. The Comets are home tonight, skating on the Adirondack Bank Center ice. And Syracuse football plays at Clemson, a noon kickoff tomorrow on ABC. They are 12.5-point underdogs. But Bill and Smitty say they're going to win outright.
I don't know that I'm going that far.
Smitty says they're going to win outright. Forget what Bill said.
I'm not going that far either, but I hope
I talked to a sports fan yesterday who said Syracuse would win outright.
Okay, and that's so forget the spread. Look at the money line, right?
I thought you guys were all on board.
I'm saying to you, okay, this is what I'm saying. You can't legally bet Syracuse anyway in New York State. I am saying that. But I think I guess I'm hedging my bet a little here. Don't count them out is what I'm saying. At the very least, don't count them out. Davey, when you come back, I'm going to do a little something for the Rome Capitol Theater. So when you come back, let me tell you about Adirondack Bank and a mortgage for your next home. Maybe you're downsizing, getting rid of a home, thinking about it. Maybe you're looking to buy now because you have to. Mortgages tailored for your needs at Adirondack Bank. Fixed conventional mortgages, construction, FHA, VA mortgages, second home, vacation home, investment property, camp financing program, USDA, rural housing loans. Now, with the current economic condition in the country, with interest rates rising and all that happening nationwide, you want to make sure you get into the perfect mortgage for your needs, as your dream begins at Adirondack Bank. Whether it's your first home or a refinance, they have the product that suits your needs. Their team of professional and dedicated staff can help you choose the product that's perfect for you. Local bank, local decisions, adkbank.com, Adirondack Bank, member FDIC. And tomorrow at the Capitol Theater in Rome, it's the Live and Let Die show. This is an orchestra that basically comes in there and plays a bunch of Paul McCartney and Wings and all of that. It'll be cool. And I have a pair of tickets to give away for that for tomorrow. Davey, we'll go with caller number, what?
3.
Caller 3, third caller through the lines. You get the tickets for tomorrow night. 315-736-0186. Caller 3 at WIBX.
You used to say, live and let live.
Hello?
Kathy Hochul.
Wait. Kids, go upstairs. Kids, go upstairs. Mommy might have to use adult language.
Oh, my. Oh, my. Well.
Okay, Kathy Hochul, who sits in Albany and refuses to fix New York's broken bail law. You know, the liberals' little cashless bail, catch and release experiment.
Yes. That Kathy Hochul.
Want to talk about how New York has the highest taxes in the nation? How people are moving out? How even one of the newspapers admitted Hochul's budget stuck it to taxpayers.
Actually, that's not in my script.
Then how about Hochul and pay-to-play corruption?
Ma'am, can I just ask, are you voting for Hochul or Lee Zeldin?
You kidding? This state needs to hit the reset button. And that's Lee Zeldin for governor.
Paid for by Safe Together New York, Inc. This communication was not expressly authorized or requested by any candidate or by any candidate's political committees or any of its agents.
I can't take this kitchen any longer. Carl, we need to start looking for a new house.
Honey, you know the housing market is tight. It's going to be next to impossible to find something that we like.
I know, but this kitchen has to go.
Hey, what about a home equity loan from Adirondack Bank? We can turn the equity from our home into cash. Adirondack Bank has competitive rates, and they've been a trusted community bank for decades.
A new kitchen. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah.
Then, of course, we would need new furniture, and we could repair the deck, even add a pool, and take that trip to Italy that we've always talked about.
Whoa, slow down, honey. Let's go talk to the experts at Adirondack Bank about that home equity loan. Then we can decide where to start.
I've always wanted to add on a craft room, and our bathroom needs a facelift.
Don't move, improve. Stop into your local Adirondack Bank branch for more information on a home equity loan or visit AdirondackBank.com. Bank local with Adirondack Bank, your hometown community bank. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Cold beer, hot lights, my sweet romantic teenage night.
Friday, November 4th, the Stanley Theater rocks again with Ricky Z's Billy Joel Tribute Show. This is a must-see all-star performance with Rick Zaccaro, Mark Bolos, Greeley Ford, Scott Rutledge, Mike Galimi, John Dugan, Julia Scranton, and Ron Zaccaro. Help Ricky Z donate more pianos to our local elementary schools. Friday, November 4th at the Stanley Theater in Utica.
I'm Marima Smagic-Oren, and I'm running for Oneida County Clerk. I forced the Oneida County political establishment to reopen the Rome DMV. If I can cause this kind of change as a candidate, think of what I can do as county clerk. The Rome DMV is reopening because I held Tony Picenti's feet to the fire by going to the Oneida County Legislature 3 times. Now, he's afraid my opponent is going to lose because she did not. Picenti tried to close the Rome DMV in 2012 and has been choking it ever since. A leopard never changes its spots. The truth is that after the election, Picenti will try to close the Rome DMV again. I won't let that happen. I won't stop fighting for Rome. If Mary Finnegan is elected, she will be Picenti's puppet. Unlike Mary Finnegan and the rest of the Oneida County establishment, I put people over politics. That's why the Friends of Marima Smagic-Oren paid for this message.
Injury crash, 2-door, 4-door, SUV, motorcycle, big truck. At William Mattar, we're New York's largest motor vehicle accident firm, helping those injured in New York State. If a crash caused the death of a loved one, call William Mattar, the largest motor vehicle accident firm in the state. Call William Mattar, 315-444-4444, South State Street, Syracuse, 315-444-4444.
First News with Keeler in the morning on WIBX.
I think everybody has a list like this. This is my list of people I can do without. Guys in their 50s named Skip. An airline pilot who's wearing 2 different shoes. A proctologist with poor depth perception. A pimp who drives a Toyota Corolla. A dentist with blood in his hair. Girls who get drunk and throw up at breakfast. Any lawyer who refers to the police as the federales. A brain surgeon with Born to Lose tattooed on his hands. And couples whose children's names all start with the same initial.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
We'll bring him in. Steve Schaefer is the comedian at Fat Cats Comedy Club. Schaefer, along with Joshua Ryan this weekend. There's a show tonight and 2 shows tomorrow. Go to fatcatscomedyclub.com. And we're going to bring Steve Schaefer in studio coming up in a few minutes. We'll have him in here. Pretty excited about that. Again, go to fatcatscomedyclub.com for details. I do miss George Carlin.
I do too, and I hate to say this, I've never heard what you just played. I've heard hours of Carlin, and I'll occasionally, if I'm bored, we'll just pull him open, search his name, and play it.
On YouTube, you can find so much stuff, and the documentary that was out on him was really good, and it's very interesting. That is, the years were going on with Carlin, he did seem to start to just get a little angrier and angrier. I remember seeing one show at the Stanley, or maybe it was at the Turning Stone. I forget, but it doesn't matter. We walked away like, man, he is angry. And it isn't like he's an angry liberal or an angry conservative. He hated everybody. It was like he just burned everybody. Towards the end, it was kind of like that. I don't know why. But the documentary is an interesting and deep documentary to watch on George Carlin.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. He did kind of burn everybody, which is always, I think, a good thing. But maybe it's not.
Equal opportunity. It just seemed his comedy went from being very funny to a little deeper and a little angrier. It seemed. I don't know, towards the end. So we'll have Steve Schaefer in studio in a few minutes here. Also, Hobica's free money question of the day we'll get to. Excited about that. We could give away, which we did earlier in the week, $106.90 on the line. Great question to hit at you. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's something to do with what we've talked about, something in the news, that sort of thing. It will not be the story of the first nachos, although that is quite a story, right? How the nachos were today's National or International Nacho Day and how nachos were created and the whole story around it. The question will not have to do with that. All right, do you want to? So Halpern is not on.
I don't know what's going on.
Bring him in. Don't worry about it.
Thank you.
Nothing to worry about. Of course, we're going to talk about the Prime Minister in the UK stepping down yesterday. That, Christine, was very unprecedented, right?
Very unprecedented. And I think, so we had talked to Naomi Lambert when the Queen had passed. And it's interesting because she posted something on social media talking about basically it not only puts into question Truss's abilities, but also the ability to find her replacement, the whole selection process.
Right.
But an interesting offshoot of that, even though she served for approximately 6 weeks, she is still eligible to receive a pension of approximately $129,000 a year for the rest of her life.
Wow.
Because she served as prime minister.
Is it 129,000 pounds?
It's I think it's 115,000 pounds and
$129,000. Yeah, it's interesting right now. The dollar is almost equal to the pound right now, which is very, very, very interesting. I'm looking at Caesar's Palace. Steve Schaefer is coming in here. We're going to get into this. We have to get into this. As you're showing me the marquee at Caesar's Palace, and it simply says George Carlin, Steve Schaefer. And Steve's here now. Pull that mic really close if you could.
Sure, great. Good to see you.
Good morning. So you worked with Carlin.
I toured with Carlin about 4 months. Due to the kindness of Dennis Blair, who was his opening act for almost 20 years.
I remember a show that he did here in Utica, and it was, and actually I think Utica's mentioned in the documentary, that the one that was out last year.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And they mentioned Utica because it was a snowstorm.
Of course.
And he had a hard time getting in. He finally got in, but his opening act did not make it. So he did.
He did probably Dennis.
Yeah, he couldn't make it because of the storm.
Good friends, and he recommended me, and his the manager, of course, had to approve me. But then I worked with him, and he was the kindest, most loving, open-hearted George. People don't realize what a kind and beautiful guy he was. I think the documentary slanted a bit towards the negative side.
It did,
but it didn't point out that he had an extraordinarily big and open heart. I saw it all the time.
Did you find that it was towards the end, the act became a little angry.
It became insane, actually.
Yeah.
And everybody, we were all commenting on it. I remember talking to Dennis about it. I said, what's he doing?
Yeah.
I mean, he was doing bets about, I'm happy when a lot of people die.
Yeah, I know.
That's the name of the name of his special. It always makes me happy when a lot of people die. What?
And today...
He went places that no one would ever go.
Well, that's true. And he was not a liberal. And he would not be happy if you referred to him as such.
Right.
In fact, he had a bit of disdain for liberals. I know that for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. And he didn't like conservatives either, actually.
Right.
He didn't like anybody that leaned too far one way or the other.
That's what was my observation, is that he would, especially towards the end, he was attacking both sides.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
You couldn't pick there's liberal or conservative George Carlin. You couldn't label
But he
him
had
either
big
way.
problems with liberals. In fact, he went on that, what's that show with the 5 women? What's it called?
The View.
The View. And they thought they had a comrade in arms. And all he did was bash them. And the look on their faces, I'll never forget.
I bet you that's a stand-up special in its own right.
Stunned. It was glory. I wish I had it.
I got to pull that up. It's got to be somewhere.
It's got to be somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, no, and I remember seeing the thing where he was saying about how, I love when people are dead. And we live in a different world today. So I was listening to it on like a Friday night, 8 days probably after a mass shooting somewhere.
Right.
And you go, this isn't hitting right tonight, you know?
Well, I just remember sitting in the audience, and at one point, because, audiences are very interesting. Obviously, you would know our audience. We hear usually in a text message or in an email to the general manager about 3 hours after the show. But you get direct reaction. I mean, you're up there; they're right there. You see the looks on their faces.
Sure.
Audiences, I find, are trained to laugh. They believe they're there to laugh. We have come tonight. We're gonna laugh. And sometimes you find when the comedian is going serious, the people laugh because they think
They still laugh.
They think it's a joke,
Right,
and then
right.
all of a sudden, this movement starts to come across the crowd where you realize, oh, this is a serious moment. And he had some of those.
He had a
that
lot of
were
those.
awkward.
Yeah, they were
for
awkward.
the audience. I think.
agree with you. And but they always expected to come in and have big laughs, and George provided that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't remember an hour special with at least 5 minutes of farts.
Yeah.
I mean, and
That's
you would
George
think
Carlin.
all the guy. I mean, the guy was a wordsmith. He was always commenting on society and politics, but he loved just being silly. If you recall, he loved the. Danny, I'll never forget when I first met him. Hey, I went way overboard. I thought, you're one of the best. I can't believe I'm working with you. And I went, and I can't tell you the exact words, but he said, well, why don't you go F yourself? That's
nice
what he.
to meet you
That's
too.
what he said to me, and I
Yeah.
thought I'm getting fired.
Yeah.
I just, this is the first night. He doesn't want somebody who's a brown noser.
Right.
And but then I didn't know what to do. I did the
Yeah,
show.
what do you do after that?
What do you do after that?
Yeah.
The next day, we're going to our car to get into an airport, and he kind of let his guard down. He told me that Danny Kaye, of all people, was his idol. And if he met Danny Kaye, he might have lost it as well and went overboard. So it was his way of kind of bringing me back in.
Okay.
But he was a lovely guy.
Yeah,
He really
yeah.
was. He paid for all my airfares. My mom was sick. I lost all the money. I had to go back and forth. When he found out, he paid them all.
Wow.
He was a sweetheart. I saw him with old friends. Guy in a Vietnam vet. He was in a wheelchair. It was New Year's Eve. George straddled him to make sure he got chest to chest just to say hello and give him a hug. Sweet little moments like that all the time. He was a wonderful guy, but he did have this incredibly dark side.
It's interesting because one of his icons, one of his idols was was Lenny Bruce.
He told me that. I said, at one point he said, "I'm just doing Lenny."
Yeah.
And I thought, that's ridiculous.
Right.
You're not just doing Lenny.
Right.
But that's how he modestly would back off from compliments.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just doing Lenny. Come on.
Well, right. And but he was able to do, if he was doing Lenny Bruce, he found a way to do it and wind up on mainstream TV.
He certainly did.
Right? I mean, because Lenny Bruce couldn't make that.
George was an incessant writer. He wrote he must have had 24 hours.
Yeah.
He could be on stage all
yeah.
darn day if he wanted to. He had that much material. Think of all those specials. He had like 15, 16 HBO specials. He was an incredibly prolific writer, and there isn't a comedian alive today who isn't influenced by George. But he kind of lost it at the end.
At the end.
We all agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just felt it in the audience where it's like, ooh, this is...
He was angry.
I'm not comfortable. He was
felt
angry.
He felt as though humanity had let him down.
That's the interesting thing. And the documentary kind of gets into that a little bit.
Yeah.
It isn't that generally people, the audience, or anything. No. It was humanity let him down.
Let him down. And he would express that.
Right.
And it came out, I think, in his acting at the end of his career.
Well, you can't put that on your shoulders. Humanity. I mean...
I guess not. But George tackled big issues. There's no doubt about that. And small issues.
So... Steve Schaefer, comedian, headlining at Fat Cats Comedy Club. It is I told somebody the other day, I said, you're going to love this show. We're talking about a comic legend. You are a legend in the business.
I've just been around a long time.
You are.
I'm not dead yet. So
you've done many great things and been so many places. I mean, talk about your career just a little bit.
Well, the first thing that happened to me, and I was only 2 years in, about 18 months, maybe 19 months, I did The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson in 1984. I'm still not sure how it happened. I was performing at the comic strip in New York. I'll tell you this, and I believe this to be true across the board. If you need to be recommended. No matter what you do in life, somebody's got to shepherd you, somebody's got to pull you in, somebody's got to believe in you.
Yeah.
Otherwise, other people don't believe in you.
Right.
Well, Richie Tinkin, the manager of Eddie Murphy, believed in me. And he put me up on stage all the time. And when Jim McCauley was in New York, which was unprecedented, he never came to see acts. But Richie Tinkin was managing Eddie Murphy at the time, the biggest act in the world.
Yeah.
He came in to see what else Richie had, and what else Richie had was me. Not quite Eddie Murphy, but I was pretty good stand-up back in those days. And I booked the show. I booked the Tonight Show back in '84 and '85. Wow. And it was just nerve-wracking beyond belief.
Oh, I can only imagine.
I was actually a little too raw. I should have waited, but how do you say no to the Tonight Show?
Right.
It's kind of hard to do.
We'll
but that's
get you
how it
next
started.
time, buddy.
Yeah, right. But some comedians did. Bill Maher did.
Really?
Bill Maher did. Paul Reiser did. A couple of friends.
Saying I'm not ready?
Said, yeah, I need a couple more months to make sure I have backup sets, which is something I should have done. Because I only had 3 that I was proud of. And so it's I think a wise move, but it takes wisdom and a maturity that apparently I didn't have.
Well, listen, I got to say, to do Carson, there are a lot of people. I should say, today, finding a comedian that can say they did Carson is much more rare than
you have to be a little older for one thing.
That is true.
And it is a closed shop. I mean, the guys that did it, and then George, and then Johnny retired, and so that's that. But I'm very proud of it. And Johnny gave me the big high sign. He didn't call me over, which broke my heart, but that's okay. I continued to do it, and I loved it. But I also did the Merv Griffin show right after that, and I loved Merv Griffin. I thought he was an afternoon television icon, and he was the nicest man you'll ever meet. First thing he told me was to make sure your zipper's up. Make sure your zipper's up. And I'll never forget it, because every time I go on stage, I check my zipper. And I think of Merv Griffin. Couldn't have been kinder, sweeter fellow. And Johnny was a bit of more or less the opposite of that. But that's just because Johnny was shy. I think that was part of his personality. And he was also pretty much the biggest TV star, if not the biggest star in America.
I don't think that you could ever get to his level ever again, because there's so many networks now.
I agree.
There were 3, and when something happened on the Tonight Show, it was news the next day.
That's Absolutely true. And I was stunned just to be doing it. I lost 10 pounds in about 3 weeks.
Wow.
And so I was no longer fitting into the clothes, but I didn't check them until I was about to go on. I said, these clothes don't fit. And I had to sort of buckle up and get myself ready. And I checked my zipper.
Yeah.
Can I tell you a quick story about meeting George Carlin?
Yes.
I'll try to get through as quickly as I can.
All right.
When I first met, like I told you, I did that stupid thing, over complimenting him. But I always tried to get him. I wanted to come up with, he observed everything. He had every observation you could possibly observe. The handle on the escalator goes faster than the escalator. He knew every little nuance, and he observed everything. I thought, I'm going to find something that George has not come up with. Every day I try, and I'd say, George, this. He goes, oh, no, I wrote that down. Sorry, won't try again. So finally, one night I'm watching a Western, and I realized that one of the characters' names was Murdoch. I thought, in every Western, there's a Murdoch.
Yeah.
Every Western.
Yes.
So I thought maybe he hasn't come up with this. So I said, George, I think I got one today. I was watching a Western last night, and I realized in every Western, there's a Murdoch. And he said, I know. In every Western, there's a Murdoch. He said, I wrote that down 15 years ago on an index card. And not only is there a Murdoch, but there's also a Kincaid. So
what?
Exactly. So not only did he have the initial observation, but he had the tag, which was that there's not in every Western there's a Murdoch and the Kincaid.
Wow.
And I said, George, I'm done. I won't try to ever come up with. He said, no, keep trying. But I never did.
It is interesting. His observations. I never thought about that, but really, he observed the most unique things that you were like, oh my God, that's so true.
And you notice them every day yourself.
Yeah,
you just didn't realize how ridiculous they were until George pointed them out for you. I absolutely love the guy, and I thought I was the luckiest man in the world.
I have to tell you, I just grabbed a clip by chance of George Carlin, not even realizing any of the connection that you have. Had with George Carlin, and I'm so glad I played the clip.
Oh, I'm so glad you played it, too.
Yeah,
if it wasn't for Dennis, though, I always have to go back to it. Dennis was his initial act. He recommended me. Jerry Hamza, his manager, he had to book me, and George had to like me.
Right, that's a lot there.
That's three things that had to happen, and they all happened, thank God. George even liked, you know how the world is like pathetically woke today, and George would hate it, hated with a capital H. And he liked a bit of mine where I would do about East Indians, where I did it on the Tonight Show, actually, about how East Indians are a culture that are not an angry culture, and so there were no East Indian boxers. Like there was I said, and there are. And I
never thought of that.
I said there was never a bone crusher Gandhi. Right. All right. I did it on the Tonight Show. Got big laughs.
Yeah.
And this guy, Bone Crusher Gandhi, he got hit in the face. Oh, I'm very, very upset now. You hit me, and I'm very mad. I'm going. So I would do the whole bit. I did the bit, and one night I'm doing it in Syracuse, and I thought I'm doing this bit for George. I would do it sometimes just because I knew George loved it, and I continued to keep it, even though it was a little old.
Yeah.
I kept doing it in my act. Don't you know? A table of people, they're talking. One of them stands up and says, "We don't like that. You're doing that voice." And she actually said, my friend has a friend.
Oh, my God.
Who's East Indian. Oh. My friend has a friend.
Wow.
Who's East Indian, and we're offended. And I really tried to be polite about it. I said, look, I understand where you're coming from, but believe me, you're not getting the essence of the joke.
Right.
The essence is how they're a beautiful culture.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to say. And one part of the audience got upset at the other part of the audience.
Oh, my God.
And they're yelling at them, and they're yelling at each other. Why don't you sit down? Oh, don't tell us what to do. We don't even think he's funny. Who does he think he is? They're the voice, and the people say, shut up. And it got into a thing. More than half of the audience shut these people up, and they wound up leaving. But it was an incredible moment in time. And I kind of wish George was alive. I would have loved to have found out what he thought about that.
I know.
Because the woke culture you mentioned, but he loved to set ablaze a Catholic tradition or something like that, right? Some religious thing. He's got both sides burning. Oh, that would have been awesome.
Yeah. What year was this?
When I did the Tonight Show?
No. The
Syracuse?
yeah.
That was about, I would say, it was before the pandemic, so
about 5 years ago. Yeah. Well, and I'm wondering, are we? The pendulum swings, and I'm wondering,
I hope so.
At some point, it's going to have to swing back. I've been told the comics who come in say it's almost impossible to do comedy on a college campus today.
Absolutely true.
Yeah.
Absolutely true. Everything offends them.
Yeah.
It's absolutely insane. You
Crazy,
can't go anywhere
yeah.
without them being offended. I don't even know. I don't know what the rules are. Somebody's going to have to write them down for me because I wouldn't even know where to begin.
Where to start.
Boy, I'll tell you, if Carlin was disappointed with humanity in the 90s, imagine how he'd feel today.
Right. I really wish he was around. Wouldn't it be great just to have him commenting on all this madness?
Well, I mean, just think about how quickly Al Franken was like, okay, I'm done, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
That would have been something that Carlin would have been.
Of course. And I was disappointed that all that happened, too.
Yeah,
I mean,
that
come on.
Shouldn't have happened. All right, stand by. Great talking with you. Steve Schaefer. We'll give away some tickets for tonight and for tomorrow night. We'll do that. Free money question we do every day. Chance to win $106.90. We'll get to it coming up in a second. 7:35 at WIBX.
In Albany, the only political party that matters is the majority party.
I'm Assemblywoman Mary Ann Buttonshaw, and I'm a member of the Assembly's majority. As a member of the Assembly, I do more for the Mohawk Valley. More funding for Utica, Rome, and Whitesboro schools than ever before. Almost $500,000 for local fire departments. $125,000 for the town of Deerfield. More funding from Albany means a stronger Mohawk Valley. Wolfspeed means good jobs. The Nexus Center means more recreation and tourism opportunities. Griffiths Business and Technology Park assures our future in high-tech economy. As a member of the Assembly, I brought your voice and your values to the state capitol and brought back expanded youth and senior program funding for our cities and towns and $1 million to assist our youth in crisis at the House of Good Shepherd. Given the chance, I'll do more. That's why the Friends of Mary Ann Buttonshaw paid for this message.
It's time to find new roads and save at your certified pre-owned Chevy store, Steve Ponte Chevrolet in Herkimer. When you buy a GM certified pre-owned SUV or truck, you'll have peace of mind knowing all their vehicles have passed a rigorous 172-point inspection with a 6-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty and a 1-year bumper-to-bumper limited warranty. Stop in today and choose from a large selection of SUVs and trucks. Test drive their like-new 2022 Chevy 3500 Silverado LT 4x4 with only 5,000 miles. Or a 2019 Chevy Trax LT. Enjoy great deals and the buying experience you deserve on every Steve Ponte car, truck, or SUV. Shopping for a brand new, reliable, sturdy, full-size truck? Steve Ponte Chevy has a huge selection of Chevy on the lot with more arriving every day. But hurry in because they're going fast. Steve Ponte Chevrolet, your locally owned and operated dealership, Route 28 in Herkimer, or call them at 315-866-5080. See why it's always easy to do business at Steve Ponte Chevrolet.
Julie Groh Denton, longtime practicing attorney and law clerk in federal, state supreme, and county surrogate court. Julie Groh Denton, high school valedictorian, honors graduate from Bucknell and Harvard Law. Julie Groh Denton, candidate for state Supreme Court.
I'm Julie Groh Denton. Every community deserves to have judges in whom you take great pride. From an early age, my parents instilled a love of family and a strong work ethic. Born and raised near my dad's family in Rome, vacations and holidays with my mom's family in the North Country. My career has brought me to courtrooms and law offices across our region, all while raising 2 children with my husband, driving them throughout Central New York for scholastics and sports. I know our communities. I value the importance of treating others with respect. I love the law, and I will make you proud. I ask for your vote.
Elect Julie Groh Denton to state Supreme Court. Paid for by the committee to elect Julie Groh Denton for Supreme Court.
Warner Sales and Service. Building relationships, building trust.
Contractors and landscapers, rent your way to greater profits with Bobcat equipment from Warner Sales and Service. From heavy work right down to the fussy stuff, Bobcat loaders, excavators, and a wide variety of attachments will handle all the tough jobs like lifting, digging, pushing, carrying, as well as the more precise applications, grading, and leveling. You'll be able to take on more jobs and get your current projects done with Warner Sales and Service. Whether it's the tough lifting and digging or the more precise work with attachments, you name it, Warner Sales and Service has the Bobcat rental to make sure your projects get done. Tough jobs demand tough equipment. So when you have a tough job, run a Bobcat machine. So stop in today at Warner Sales and Service, just off of Route 365 between Rome and Verona, and at WarnerSS.com.
Warner's, where quality still counts. At Warner's.
Hello?
Hello there. I'm calling from Ace Research with a survey about Kathy Hochul.
Wait, kids, go upstairs. Mommy might have to use adult language.
Oh, my. Well...
Okay, Kathy Hochul, who sits in Albany and refuses to fix New York's broken bail law. You know, the liberals' little cashless bail, catch and release experiment.
Yes, that Kathy Hochul.
Want to talk about how New York has the highest taxes in the nation? How people are moving out? How even one of the newspapers admitted Hochul's budget stuck it to taxpayers.
Actually, that's not in my script.
Then how about Hochul and pay-to-play corruption?
Ma'am, can I just ask, are you voting for Hochul or Lee Zeldin?
You kidding? This state needs to hit the reset button. And that's Lee Zeldin for governor.
Paid for by Safe Together New York, Inc. This communication was not expressly authorized or requested by any candidate or by any candidate's political committees or any of its agents.
Fred F. Collis & Sons Cooling, Heating, and Insulation has been in business for more than 85 years, and nobody does work like Collis. And now, you may be in a situation, I realize we're going to warm up a little bit over the weekend and into next week, but, you know, colder, low to mid-70s by next week, Jeff. But colder weather, of course, is on the way. I had a little frost this morning on the windshield. So if you're turning up the heating system in your home, make sure it is efficient. You're going to need it this year with the prices that are out there. And Collis can come in and make sure that is the case. You also may be in a position where maybe it's time for a new heating system, and Collis can help. There are thousands of dollars in rebates out there that you could take advantage of. It's Collis, Fred F. Collis & Sons Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. And you know, they're on call 24/7, 7 days a week, nights, weekends, and holidays. Reach out to Fred F. Collis & Sons, Cooling, Heating, and Insulation. Yorkville, Rome, and now in Syracuse.
WIBX First News with Keeler in the morning. News time is 7:42, 34 degrees. We'll have your full forecast coming up in just 2 minutes. Your news is brought to you by Harley-Davidson of Utica. Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett is denying an attempt to keep the Biden student debt forgiveness plan from taking effect. Barrett acted alone Thursday in rejecting a challenge brought by a Wisconsin taxpayers group who argued that the plan illegally intruded on congressional spending power. Under Biden's plan, student loan cancellations worth up to $20,000 per borrower could begin on Sunday. A new study says emergency room visits by adult sexual assault victims have spiked in the past 15 years. Researchers with the University of Michigan say ER visits by adults who were assaulted shot up from 3,600 in 2016 to over 55,000 by 2019. They attributed the sharp rise to a number of factors, including more sexual assaults and more awareness spurred by the Me Too movement. The defense minister of Ukraine says he is not too worried about Republicans possibly cutting military aid to Ukraine. In an interview, Minister Oleksiy Reznikov waved off comments by House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy as political posturing. Reznikov said he's confident that if Republicans take control of one or both houses of Congress after the midterms, it will not spell the end of support for Ukraine's military as it battles against Russia. Wildfires raging in the Northwest are giving Washington and Oregon the worst air quality in the United States. The federal website airnow.gov says the top 10 locations in the U.S. with the worst air quality on Thursday were all in those two states, with the number one being Oak Ridge, Oregon, about 150 miles south of Portland. The biggest cities on the list were Portland and Seattle, which are both being blanketed by wildfire smoke. Gas prices keep slipping. AAA reports the national average for regular is down a penny from Thursday to $3.82 a gallon. And in a first for a historically black college or university, a football player at Hampton University has come out as gay. Defensive back Byron Perkins came out in an Instagram story shared Wednesday. Perkins wrote that being gay, quote, is not a decision or a choice. Yes, he says, this is who I am, this is who I've been, and this is who I am going to be. Authorities in California investigating after a car was found buried in the yard of a home near San Francisco. Landscapers found the car Thursday morning while working at a home in the town of Atherton. Police say the car was buried under 5 feet of dirt. It's believed to have been there since the 1990s, before the current owners moved in. Cadaver dogs were brought in, but no human remains were found. Police did, however, find bags of concrete in the vehicle. The Atherton Police Department says it is investigating the motive and circumstances surrounding the incident. Your WIBX Weather Center forecast is brought to you by Clinton Tractor, the leader in service. Visit them today at clintontractor.net. Mostly sunny, the high today near 59 degrees. Mostly clear tonight with a low around 41 degrees. Sunny on Saturday, the high near 68. Mostly clear Saturday night with a low around 46. Sunshine on Sunday, the high near 69. Partly cloudy Sunday night with a low around 47. And temperatures continue to rise Tuesday and Wednesday. We'll see temperatures in the lower 70s. Not the case right now, however. Your temperature brought to you by Harley-Davidson of Utica. Holding steady at 34 degrees. WIBX News Time is 7:45.
All right, Christine, let's do our free money question of the day from the Michael Law Firm. Each day we give you a chance to win some cash, $106.90. And Davey, what caller you want to go with here?
Caller 8.
Caller 8. So the
Nice job.
eighth caller through the phone lines, you'll take a shot at this morning's question. Whole bunch of potential consolations out there for you.
Including Live and Let Die, right?
Including Live and Let Die, including Fat Cats Comedy Club and the 72 Tavern and Grill. But you want to win the cash. So that question comes up next. Caller 8 right now, 315-736-0186.
Little Falls Lumber has everything you need to get your home ready for fall and winter. With colder weather coming, consider replacing your windows and doors with a more energy-efficient option. They also carry a wide variety of lumber, roofing, siding, trims, and more for your fall projects. With 3 convenient locations in Little Falls, Syracuse, and Schenectady, Little Falls Lumber is there wherever the job takes you. Stop in today or give them a call, 315-823-2470, or visit littlefallslumber.com.
I'm Marima Smagic-Oren, and I'm running for Oneida County Clerk. I forced the Oneida County political establishment to reopen the Rome DMV. If I can cause this kind of change as a candidate, think of what I can do as county clerk. The Rome DMV is reopening because I held Tony Picenti's feet to the fire by going to the Oneida County Legislature 3 times. Now, he's afraid my opponent is going to lose because she did not. Picenti tried to close the Rome DMV in 2012 and has been choking it ever since. A leopard never changes its spots. The truth is that after the election, Picenti will try to close the Rome DMV again. I won't let that happen. I won't stop fighting for Rome. If Mary Finnegan is elected, she will be Picenti's puppet. Unlike Mary Finnegan and the rest of the Oneida County establishment, I put people over politics. That's why the Friends of Marima Smagic-Oren paid for this message.
Ladies and gentlemen, Louis Black.
Get ready for the comedy of Louis Black, the King of Rant, performing live at the Stanley Theater in Utica, Friday, March 3rd at 8 p.m.
Why was their marriage so successful? It's because they never heard a word the other one said.
Louis Black with special guest Jeff Stilson. Tickets available through Ticketmaster by calling the Stanley Theater box office, 315-724-4000.
And by God, you feel good for at least an hour and 15 minutes.
Louis Black at the Stanley Theater, Friday, March 3rd. Tickets now on sale.
Warner Sales and Service, building relationships, building trust.
Contractors and landscapers, rent your way to greater profits with Bobcat equipment from Warner Sales and Service. From heavy work right down to the fussy stuff, Bobcat loaders, excavators, and a wide variety of attachments will handle all the tough jobs like lifting, digging, pushing, carrying, as well as the more precise applications, grading, and leveling. You'll be able to take on more jobs and get your current projects done with Warner Sales and Service. Whether it's the tough lifting and digging or the more precise work with attachments, you name it, Warner Sales and Service has a Bobcat rental to make sure your projects get done. Tough jobs demand tough equipment. So when you have a tough job, run a Bobcat machine. So stop in today at Warner Sales and Service, just off of Route 365 between Rome and Verona, and at WarnerSS.com.
Warner's, where quality still counts. At Warner's.
Hi, this is John Calabrese. Is your company looking to hire qualified, dependable employees but unsure of where to look? Let Express Employment Professionals take on the recruitment and hiring process for you. We're a locally owned, full-service staffing firm. We'll help you find your next star employees. Business decisions come down to time and money, and Express can save you both. We take on finding employees for you so you can focus on meeting your business goals. Find us on the web at expressmohawkvalley.com for details on how to get started. Are you looking for a great job? Stop searching. ECR International is hiring for assemblers and maintenance technicians. You could be working for the company that actually helped kickstart the world-famous Boilermaker Road Race. Both of the positions that we're currently hiring for offer excellent pay with a full benefits package. Instead of waking up every day dreading work, wake up and have a fulfilling job working for a great local company. Work for ECR International. To find out more, just call Express Employment at 315-790-5723.
Long before the sun rises and the highways are busy with traffic, before the kids are on the buses and first shift workers begin their day, Sheriff Rob Mashel is hard at work, making sure our community is a safe place for all of us to live. It's what keeps him up at night and gets him up early every day. It's his passion. It's his purpose. It's his job.
I'm Oneida County Sheriff Rob Mashel. The men and women of the Oneida County Sheriff's Office are making a positive difference. Children are safer in schools because a trained officer is on duty at almost every school. Our deputies stand with area police departments to combat increased crime. If we continue working together, we'll keep Oneida County safe. I'm Oneida County Sheriff Rob Mashel. Law enforcement is my family. Your safety and their safety matter to me.
This November, re-elect Rob Mashel, your Oneida County Sheriff. Paid for by friends of Rob Mashel.
WIDX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
All right, we'll chat a little more with comedian Steve Schaefer, who's in studio here this morning, and we'll be at Fat Cats Comedy Club this weekend. All right, let's go with Matt in Marcy. Ready to take a shot at Hobika's money here. Good morning, Matt. How are you?
Good morning. How's it going?
Good. You ready to go on this one here? I think we have a good question for you, all right?
Yeah.
All right. Here is your question. Remember, you got to get your answer in there within 7 seconds. Get it out quickly. If you have to guess, do that too, okay?
Okay.
All right. Here we go. Which orator authored the book Brain Droppings? Ready? Go. Which orator?
Stephen King.
What did you come up with?
Stephen King.
Stephen King. Well, orator was your clue, and the conversation that Steve Schaefer was having with us just a few minutes ago. Brain Droppings, Steve Schaefer, was written by
George Carlin.
George Carlin. Yeah. Well, what are you going to do? We will give you, though, from the 72 Tavern and Grill, $25 gift card. I'll give you a table for 6 tonight or tomorrow night at Fat Cats Comedy Club. Pick your show with Davey. And Live and Let Die, that show, which is happening. Do you have any left on those, or we don't? No? Sorry, that's gone.
Live and Let Die is done.
Done.
Okay.
But I do have Fat Cats for you, and the $25 gift card at 72 Tavern and Grill at the Adirondack Bank Center. Matt, Davey's going to hook you up. You have a great day, okay?
Perfect. Thank you. You
All
too.
right. Thanks so much. Yeah, I thought that was kind of an easy one. It's the pressure of the 7 seconds.
Well, I'll say this. I just knowing how the contest typically works, I had no idea it was Carlin, but that was my guess based on our conversation.
Based on the conversation.
But Bill tends to give the answer away at some point earlier in the hour.
See, so if you probably don't. We have an attorney we're very close with who supplies the money, and we enjoy giving away his money. So the more times I can give it away, the better it is.
Absolutely.
So what do you find? We talked about, and this is Steve Schaefer. He'll be at Fat Cats Comedy Club this weekend. What do you find out there, how the world has changed post-COVID or in this woke world that we're living in right now?
How the world has changed?
Yeah, because you're seeing it firsthand. You're getting, like when you were in Syracuse, and you tell a joke, and the people apparently take issue with it and call you out on it while you're on stage. Who would do that?
Well, as I was telling you the story off the air, I guess I could share it on the air.
Yeah.
I used to do this routine, and I did it on the Tonight Show, and George actually liked it. It was one of the bits he actually, after one of my shows, he goes, "Oh, I really like that East Indian bit you do." I go, "Oh my God, George actually likes something I do."
Right, that's a big deal.
Any comedian would be thrilled, and so I did it in Syracuse, and with George in mind, and don't you know that? And it's an East Indian. My impression of an East Indian boxer, because I said East Indians are not fighters; they're a passive culture. There was never an East Indian, never a bone crusher gone. Right in this corner. But
you're right.
That was most uncomfortable. I'm in a great deal of pain now. If you hit me again, I will fast. Okay,
Yes.
that's the joke. And
So she's offended by it.
And a table of people stand up, and one woman says, we're not happy with that joke you just told because my girlfriend has a friend who's East Indian. He wasn't even there that night.
So I'm saying so the question is, if George Carlin were alive, how would he handle that? I think he would crush them.
I think he would crush them. And I was actually very kind to them, and I don't believe in crushing my audiences. It's never been my thing. I was trying to kind of understand what they were doing.
At this point, you got to be out of your mind.
Out of your mind to think something like that is offensive.
And even if it was offensive, who would call you out on it? I mean, there's a lot of offensive comedy out there.
There is. I tried to explain that the bit is really about how the culture is a passive, beautiful culture. It's an elegant, beautiful culture, and that's really the essence of the bit. And I said, "You're not getting the joke." And the rest of it was one side fighting the other. They eventually left. It was
the audience.
Weird. Yes, half the audience started yelling at.
Because now they're mad because she's interrupting the show.
Right.
And now at this point you've lost complete control of the whole audience.
Complete control of the whole audience. It completely ruined the show. But I will say that most comics are experiencing this now.
Yeah.
I talked to all my friends, and they're all in the same boat. We're all trying to figure out what works, what doesn't. Even cruise ships. I did cruise ships for 25 years.
Now, on those, you have to be a little more clean.
They'd rather you be inoffensive than funny. If you're not funny, they don't care. Just don't be offensive.
That's so
and
weird.
You could go on. You could be on stage for 20 minutes and not get a laugh. They go, "Well, he wasn't offensive."
Yeah, that's
we got no complaints. It's a win.
That's
exactly.
a win. Yeah.
I used to do a joke on one joke. I said, "Oh gosh, now I'm who's the poorest person in Kentucky? A tooth fairy."
That's funny.
Which I love. I love
that's
the joke.
Good joke.
It's a great joke.
Especially if you tell it. Especially if you tell it in New York. We think that's just
so
hilarious.
I did it on the ship, and don't you know, there's a contingency of Kentuckians who wanted to hang me.
Wow.
And they actually got to the cruise director, and I had to have a meeting with these people about that joke. I'm like, it's a joke.
Right,
it's a joke. It's not about all Kentuckians, apparently. A few of you are missing teeth. But it's a joke. It's a joke. And they would have thrown me off the ship if I didn't apologize.
Really?
And take it out of my act.
You had to apologize.
I had to apologize and take it out of my act.
Oh, my God.
Which I did. I changed it to who's the poorest person in a trailer park.
Okay. Well, then you never know. You get somebody.
You could get some trailer parking people who want to get it. But we're all struggling with it now. Although it's got to be changing, as you mentioned earlier. I think the pendulum has to swing back. It really does.
And when it swings back, I thought it was swinging back with Trump. It was just disrupted because Trump would offend anyone.
That's
it didn't
true.
matter. There was this whole woke thing was gone under President Trump.
That's true.
And then he doesn't get into office, and I don't know that the pendulum knows what's going on. I think the pendulum's shaking.
The pendulum is
scared
confused.
to death. Yeah, very
Although
confused.
I think it still is. I think it's moving back just because it has to.
It has to.
Because the audiences are not enjoying themselves. Enjoy it. For God's sake. Go out and have fun. You want to go out? It's a comedy.
Yeah.
It's a comedy.
And you will not. I promise you will not get that at this. The crowds that we see are yearning for some laughter.
Yeah, I'm not out to offend you, but I do. I run across the line a little bit. Yeah, not a lot.
All right. Steve Schaefer and Joshua Ryan tonight. 7:30 show tonight, and then tomorrow 7 and 9:15. You can go to fatcatscomedyclub.com for details. Davey, how about giving away a caller number 3, table for 6, caller 3, 315-736-0186. They can pick any show they want this weekend, 315-736-0186. Davey will hook you up. Got a break. News straight ahead here. Hold tight, and then Christine has a full update as well coming up on WIBX.
At AmeriQ Credit Union, we believe real connections matter, today more than ever. Whether it's connecting you to the right solutions to achieve your goals, new technology to make banking easier, or a real person to help you succeed, we'll be here. In person online, or anywhere in between, creating meaningful connections that make you feel like you belong. AmeriQ and you. Let's connect. Membership restrictions apply. Federally insured by NCUA.
Your week in local news happens here.
It's the topics that matter to me.
WIDX 950 and 106.9 FM. From the Excellus Blue Cross Blue Shield Studio, WIDX 950 Utica Rome. W295DI Utica Rome. Your news, talk, and sports leader. The Town Square Media Station.
Remembering and honoring two fallen officers. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. They'll do that this morning in Connecticut.
He was extremely likable. Anytime he walked into a room, I just immediately smiled.
It's officers Dustin DeMonte and Alex Hamsey. They were killed last week in an ambush in Bristol, Connecticut. The funeral for them is at a stadium in East Hartford. Fox's Ashley Strohmeyer's there.
People are now lining up, trying to get into this area. I've seen people from Albany show up, and then tens of thousands of people and officers are expected to pay their respects here today, as well as people all the way from Canada.
A third officer was wounded, responding to a domestic disturbance call that turned out to be fake. One of the suspects was killed in return fire. His brother arrested. It is sentencing day for a former Trump White House advisor, Steve Bannon, who refused to cooperate with Democrats probing election fraud claims in January 6th.
Bannon faces 6 months in jail and a $2,000 maximum fine. A jury found Bannon guilty of refusing to comply with a subpoena from the House committee investigating the January 6 attack on the Capitol.
That's Fox's Ryan Schmelz. Now to someone else not interested in cooperating with the 2020 election probe, Republican Senator Lindsey Graham, ordered by an appeals court to testify in Georgia.
The three-judge panel of the 11th Circuit Appeals Court ruled Fulton County DA Fani Willis can question the senator in her investigation of the phone call from former President Trump to Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger about the result of the 2020 election. Calls Graham made to Raffensperger will also be addressed.
Fox's Gernal Scott. Two challenges to President Biden's student loan forgiveness plan shot down in court. Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett shut down a lawsuit by a group of taxpayers, and a judge rejected a challenge from 6 Republican-led states. Days after the government started accepting applications, tens of millions of Americans could have up to $20,000 in federal student loan debt wiped out. America's listening to Fox News.
When you're an innovative business, every blinking cursor, every blank page is an opportunity. What will you do with it? Will you make something better or create something new? Our Dell Technologies advisors provide you with tools and expertise to do incredible things. Because we believe there's an innovator in all of us. For advice on smart PCs powered by Intel vPro that's built for business, call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
Smith & Wesson is committed to empowering Americans, no matter what. With inflation hitting everywhere, we've decided to make a change. Now, you can buy a Smith & Wesson Shield Plus, our most popular concealed carry firearm, at an all-new low price, $100 off MSRP. We're absorbing the costs and passing along the savings to you, so you don't have to compromise on personal security. Visit smithandwesson.com to find a Shield Plus near you. Smith & Wesson, always expect the best.
Good morning, WIBX. First news with Keeler in the morning news time is 8:03, 34 degrees. We'll have your full forecast coming up in just 2 minutes. Your news is brought to you by Baird Private Wealth Management, a strong financial partner for 100 years. Visit bairdoffices.com/Utica for more information. An Ilion woman facing several charges after being accused of altering her paycheck to ensure she received between $500 and $2,000 extra dollars in each paycheck. An accounting firm noted the discrepancies and alerted the employer, who happens to be a local attorney. The UPD arrested 42-year-old Karen Durant and charged her with grand larceny and falsifying business records. A man charged after he allegedly paid for a drink with a fake $100 bill. The Utica Police Department says 58-year-old Maurice Jones enjoyed a beverage at the bar at Applebee's on Horatio Street after allegedly paying with the phony bill. State police got involved, and after examining surveillance video from some other incidents, it's believed he's also the same person who took items from a local Price Chopper a few days later without paying for them. Well, the Federal Trade Commission criticizing a proposal that would lead to a merger between SUNY Upstate Medical and Krause Health. The FTC says the partnership would lead to less pay for employees, higher patient costs, and also negatively impact the quality of care that patients receive. The FTC is now requesting that the state health department deny that merger plan. And speaking of health, some brand new data from the state shows the spread of coronavirus is once again on the decline in central New York. The 7-day average infection rate now sits at 8.08%. At this time last week, that infection rate was 10.01%. A Central New York man arrested by state police after being accused of committing several crimes. Troopers say his 56-year-old Joseph Takash allegedly downloaded and uploaded images of child porn across several devices and then allegedly shared those images with other people using the internet. He is now facing multiple felony charges. And former New York Governor David Paterson will be making an appearance in Syracuse tonight. He'll be attending a symposium celebrating the 25th anniversary of SUNY Upstate Medical Centers for Vision Research. Back in 2008, Paterson became the first legally blind governor in the United States when he took office following the resignation of Elliot Spitzer. Your WIBX Weather Center forecast is brought to you by Harley-Davidson of Utica. Mostly sunny, the high today near 59 degrees. Mostly clear tonight with a low around 41. Sunshine on Saturday, the high near 68. Mostly clear Saturday night with a low around 46. Mostly sunny on Sunday, the high near 69. Partly cloudy Sunday night with a low around 47. Sunshine on Monday with a high near 67 degrees. Partly cloudy Monday night with a low around 49. This would be boring to report this weather if it were not for the fact that it is going to be beautiful. And Tuesday and Wednesday right now look like they'll be in the upper 70s. The lower 70s on both of those days.
Christine, I don't know if you saw, but they came out with, the National Weather Service came out with their prediction for not just for this weekend and for early next week. It's their latest prediction for the winter. Mm-hmm. So we've gotten so cocky in the meteorology world that we can now predict not just into the weekend, but into March and April. So remember we had the story a month ago where they're predicting winter. It's going to be a hard winter. It's going to be very cold.
It's going to be cold and snowy.
More snow than normal.
Wow. Change is coming.
Now they're saying we're in an El La Nina or something like that, and it's going to be icier, wetter, and warmer than normal, their prediction. Do you really think they even know? They probably don't know.
And is it even noticeable to us who live here? You're like,
right.
Oh, wow, it's
icy.
Snowing, and it's icy.
Yeah, it's only 37. It's 20 degrees warmer than normal. 37 is still not pleasant, right?
Yeah, it always drives me nuts. And seriously, I don't take this preseason forecast serious. Until they can get the weekend temperature within 6 degrees, I'm not taking it seriously.
Very good point. Christine, current temperature right now is, however.
The current temperature right now, nice segue, is 34 degrees.
All right. Jeff Manaski with a big weekend in sports.
It's busy. Okay, last night, the Yankees fell in a 2-0 series hold to the Astros. Alex Bregman, a big 3-run home run, powering Houston to a 2-0 advantage in the American League Championship Series. The teams are off tonight. They'll resume in the Bronx on Saturday. The National League Championship Series picks up in Philly this evening. Padres and Phils tied at a game apiece. Philly fan?
Born and raised.
Well, you get him.
Oh, you're a Philly guy.
1 mile north of the home plate. That's where I was born and raised.
Oh, that's wild. You know, it's funny because the Mets should be the ones in this series right now, and they're not.
Well, I live in North Jersey, so I'm a Mets. I like New York teams, but I'm a Philly fan. Everybody hates me. Everybody hates me.
Even your own fans hate you, I bet.
Everybody hates me.
That's how Philly is.
A fanatic for the Phillies. Okay, fair enough.
Thursday Night Football last night, a game you heard right here on WIBX. It was the Cardinals, 42-34 over the Saints. 4 interceptions for Andy Dalton, who's filling in there in New Orleans. Utica Comets are home. They'll skate at the Adirondack Bank Center tonight. Tomorrow at the Bank, the Utica University Pioneers have an exhibition game against SUNY Potsdam. The Pioneers open the season next Friday. Utica University football, 6-0, a major showdown at Gaetano Stadium. They'll take on 6-0 SUNY Cortland. Syracuse football, they're unbeaten as well. They'll visit Clemson tomorrow, a noon start on ABC. Smitty, are you confident heading into the weekend?
Yeah, I'm confident.
He's confident.
We're not confident, but we're thinking that it's possible. That's right. That's all right. I mean, don't stick your neck out, Davey.
So the airtime for next week's game plays into this victory. If Syracuse wins, it's either going to be 12 or 3:30.
Okay.
based on the outcome here.
Yeah.
Whether it's a primetime
It's either
match.
going to be
Well,
on
not
ESPN
primetime,
or ABC.
a featured
Which is the
matchup.
bigger one? The 3:30 game is bigger?
I say 3:30 because that's
Okay.
like a national midday audience.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
And plus, it's at the Dome.
It is at the Dome, yeah. Notre Dame next week. That'll be big.
And then NFL this weekend, your Bills are on a bye. The Giants are in Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars, and the Jets head west to visit the Denver Broncos.
We have in studio this morning Steve Schaefer. He is the headlining comedian this weekend. It's Steve Schaefer and Joshua Ryan at Fat Cats Comedy Club. When you come in, Bill from Rome will greet you. And actually, he wowed the daylights out of you the other day when he
The magician?
did his magic.
I
over
couldn't believe I stared at his
at
hands
72
for 15 minutes while he was doing the ball trick, right? And I'm like, I'm going to figure it out. I got it right here. I don't know how he did it. He was excellent. He was hilarious. He was a nice guy. I thought we hit it off, but then he didn't talk to me after he walked away from the table. So,
Bill, on the you're calling on the golfing dog. The dog we're talking about. This is a dog that lives near a golf course and has found more than 6,000 lost balls. That dog is valuable. Bill, good morning.
Good morning, William. Well, I have a white German Shepherd. And I
Okay.
used to hit golf balls to her and make her go get them and bring them back to me. Well, one time she come back and she had more than one in her mouth, and she inhaled it and swallowed it.
Swallowed it.
It cost me $2,600 for emergency surgery.
So the dog probably couldn't pass a golf ball, right?
Couldn't pass it. She was too young, too small.
Oh, boy.
And so I just wanted to give a cautionary tale to people playing with their dogs with golf balls.
Okay, be careful. Don't play with golf balls and dogs and all that. Fair enough.
That's a good
thing.
tip.
Yeah.
And I'd like to welcome Steve to town and
thank you.
encourage people to come out because Steve knows how to make people laugh.
He definitely does.
Oh, nice.
All right, Bill. Thank you, man.
Okay.
And we'll be. You'll see Bill with his up close magic as people are just getting seated at Fat Cats this weekend. Senator Griffo wants to remind listeners this morning that this is going to be on Leland Ave at the. Let me make sure I get this correct.
I had that coming up here,
at the
Senator. You stole my
facility,
thunder.
That their recycling event, electronics, paper, and meds, happens from 10 till 2. Is it tomorrow?
Yes.
10 till 2 tomorrow on Leland Ave at the Waste Authority.
I was going to save my story for later, but I'll quickly tell you. I spent 3 evenings this week, 3 evenings at my mother's house because she's got file boxes going. She's got me moving the TV, the old-style TV. You know, it's like the one that's like 400 pounds, but it's only a 12-inch screen, right? That and the meds, because a couple times she had been – my mother's had a surgery on her shoulder, both shoulders and a knee. So she's got some meds that have been sitting in the cupboard there, and they say you don't want those sitting around. Kids get a hold of them, but kids might get a hold of them, and then all of a sudden, you got a drug problem on your hands. So they'll take old, unused prescription medications. You can bring up to 3 file boxes stuffed with paper. They'll shred it for free, sensitive documents. You got old tax returns, whatever. They'll do that for free, and then you can also drop off electronics, not limited to televisions, computer screens, laptops, etc. They'll all take it tomorrow.
Everything, yeah.
I think Senator Griffo does this twice a year, once in the fall, once in the summer. Get the junk out of your house 10 to 2 tomorrow at the Oneida Herkimer Solid Waste Authority.
And I would only tell you, Joe hates it when I do this, but I'm going to do it. If you need to drive over near there, don't do it tomorrow during those hours because the lines are huge for this.
Yeah.
People line up because it's hard to get rid of these electronics.
Well, because it's a great event. You can get rid of this. You've been staring at it for probably 15 years, that old television. You want to get rid of it.
Get rid of it.
Get rid of it.
Here is John. Hi, John in Bridgewater. Good morning.
Hey, Bill. Good morning.
What's
you
going
guys
on?
were talking about the brutal winter this winter, and it's
or maybe not so brutal.
well, maybe not. Even though we got a lot of elderly people in Oneida County, everywhere really. But
Sure.
the heating season is going to be brutal on them because when you have fuel oil for your heat, you order it's a minimum of 100 gallons.
Yeah.
Well, now there's elderly women. My niece was telling me that she lives in Winfield that they're asking, can you deliver me just 25 gallons because I don't have the money
to
for 100
fill it
gallons
up.
of fuel oil.
I got to tell you, we got hit again. Our national grid bill, electric and gas. We didn't run air conditioning the last month. I'm not doing any of the outdoor stuff. I mean, we're still the highest I've ever seen on a slow month. I would call this a slow month. We didn't run heat. It's going to be. But I'm telling you, The heating this year is going to be horrific for people. There's no doubt about it. Yeah.
I switched over to propane. I got a brand new furnace. I got propane, but
I've started actually burning my neighbor's trees.
Nice.
And we're doing pretty good. We saved a lot of money. What's that?
Never mind.
Don't say that.
Well,
but 25 gallons of fuel oil is going to be $132.50.
Think about that. Wow.
100 gallons is $550. These poor people can't afford.
Yeah, you're right.
Like that, and there's going to be some major problems.
All right, John, you're right. You're
we'll
right. Thank you, man. Have a great weekend. Going to be a beautiful weekend. I do want to get in. Lisa is she's the executive director, Lisa Smith, the executive director of the American Red Cross. 2 Rome families with children have had to be helped after the Floyd Avenue fire on Monday over on Floyd Ave in Rome. Lisa, this is a time where if people can give, it's a good time to give. There is a need as we're heading into the winter.
Absolutely. There's always a need, but you're absolutely right. This winter, I think, people's expenses are changing. The story that you just had, things are going to be harder and harder for people this winter. And as always, the Red Cross and many organizations in the community are going to need people's help.
What is the best way for people to give? I know a lot of times we like to give items and bottled water and that sort of thing. Ultimately, the easiest thing to do is to give money, right?
Absolutely. Most organizations have the channels in order to purchase or get donated items. The problem, especially for an organization like the Red Cross, is that it becomes an issue of storage or transportation.
Right.
How do you deliver the products? When you think about what the Red Cross does, here we're talking about a family, 2 separate families that were impacted by a fire. This chapter responds to about 3 disasters a day, which for the most part are home fires. And what we do for these people initially when we go is make sure that they have a safe place to sleep. So most often we will put them in a hotel, and then we make sure they have shoes on their feet and clothes on their body, because often they come out of a burning building in the middle of the night with nothing. We do give them financial assistance and help them in many ways, but we can manage that in our process. But to have people come forward to give us items that these families might need, we don't have the ability to manage that. There are organizations in the community that do, and we will always, encourage people to give to those places. And then we work with them in the future, so they're still helping the residents. But, when people are into that, for example, I'm leaving tomorrow for Fort Myers in Florida, and I'll probably be deployed for about 3 weeks. And there are people from all over the chapter, from the Utica area especially, that have gone down to help the people impacted by the hurricane. And we're still down there. We're still going down there. We've had over 2,000 people go down to help. But we can't handle, people giving money and soap and toothpaste and all that. You think about, just the delivery aspect. So it's always better if you can to give money to an organization.
Lisa, thank you so much, and good luck down in Florida.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, and you can go to the American Red Cross's website for details on how to give. Quick break. We'll come back. Steve Schaefer, we were talking last hour about George Carlin and his time touring with George Carlin. And you talked about an episode where he went on The View and how much George Carlin hated the woke culture, right?
Yeah, well, he didn't. He was not fond of people calling him a liberal, and people thought he was. He was not. He was a very practical guy.
Very much in the middle. I really feel like.
Well, I wouldn't even. You couldn't classify him.
Yeah, you're right.
He just didn't. He didn't like a lot of people. Actually,
towards the end, it was just he just didn't like people. But I have to say that Christine found the clip of George Carlin on The View, and you can only imagine how that went, because you're saying they were thinking they're getting
I remember it, actually. I remember thinking they're not going to like this.
they're thinking they're getting a fellow liberal.
Right, because I know the way he thinks.
And Whoopi Goldberg had to know, though, right? I mean,
and
she
he would
had to
come
realize.
right out and say, "Well, I don't know if I agree with you there."
Yeah.
And they would all
So
kind of,
good.
they'd all kind of look at each other like, "What happened to the hippy dippy weatherman?"
Right.
And it had nothing to do with that. George was not a part of that culture. He didn't like being a part of that culture, but he certainly expressed it. But they didn't realize it, and I think when finally he got on that show, they became very clear.
Very clear. We'll play the clip for you coming up when we come right back. Stand by. It's 8:20 at WIBX.
Julie Groh Denton, longtime practicing attorney and law clerk in federal, state supreme, and county surrogate court. Julie Groh Denton, high school valedictorian, honors graduate from Bucknell and Harvard Law. Julie Groh Denton, candidate for state Supreme Court.
I'm Julie Groh Denton. Every community deserves to have judges in whom you take great pride. From an early age, my parents instilled a love of family and a strong work ethic. Born and raised near my dad's family in Rome, vacations and holidays with my mom's family in the North Country. My career has brought me to courtrooms and law offices across our region, all while raising 2 children with my husband, driving them throughout Central New York for scholastics and sports. I know our communities. I value the importance of treating others with respect. I love the law, and I will make you proud. I ask for your vote.
Elect Julie Groh Denton to state Supreme Court. Paid for by the committee to elect Julie Groh Denton for Supreme Court.
Ladies and gentlemen, Louis Black.
Get ready for the comedy of Louis Black, the King of Rant, performing live at the Stanley Theater in Utica, Friday, March 3rd at 8 p.m.
Why was their marriage so successful? It's because they never heard a word the other one said.
Louis Black with special guest Jeff Stilson. Tickets available through Ticketmaster by calling the Stanley Theater box office 315-724-4000.
By God, you feel good for at least an hour and 15 minutes.
Louis Black at the Stanley Theater, Friday, March 3rd. Tickets now on sale.
Meet Matt Castelli. He's not from here. A far-left downstate Democrat, never lived here before and has never even voted here. Endorsed by corrupt Kathy Hochul, Castelli supports a gun ban and every one of President Biden's tax hikes on the middle class. Matt Castelli is not a moderate. He's a downstate Democrat, way too far left to represent upstate New York.
Luckily, we already have upstate fighter Elise Stefanik. She takes on Biden's dangerous agenda, leading the charge to stop inflation, lower gas prices, and secure the border.
I'm Elise Stefanik. My top priority is getting results for you, delivering millions for our seniors, veterans, and local hospitals. I'll always fight for upstate farms, Fort Drum, and proudly back the blue. I'm Elise Stefanik, candidate for Congress, and I approve this message because I will always fight for you.
Paid for by Elise for Congress.
Little Falls Lumber has everything you need to get your home ready for fall and winter. With colder weather coming, consider replacing your windows and doors with a more energy-efficient option. They also carry a wide variety of lumber, roofing, siding, trims, and more for your fall projects. With 3 convenient locations in Little Falls, Syracuse, and Schenectady, Little Falls Lumber is there wherever the job takes you. Stop in today or give them a call, 315-823-2470, or visit littlefallslumber.com.
I'm Mary Finnegan, and I'm running for Oneida County Clerk. I'm the youngest of 7, and we still live locally. My dad was a World War II veteran, and my 95-year-old mom remains the backbone of our family. As a single mom working 2 jobs, I decided to run for public office and kept the job of town clerk in Whitestown for the last 17 years. Now I want to take that experience and serve the people of Oneida County. In Whitestown, I pushed to modernize the town offices and submitted and won a grant that brought our records department into the 21st century. All of this, and we still kept the public's information safe. If you elect me clerk, I'll do the same for Oneida County. I also understand the importance of customer service, working well with others, and recognizing people's strengths. If elected, the DMV will be my top priority. Designated lines, DMV navigators, and good old-fashioned customer service is where I'll begin on day 1. If you need a county clerk who can hit the ground running on day 1, then I am the right person for the job. I'm Mary Finnegan, and I would so appreciate your vote this November for Oneida County Clerk. Paid for by the Friends of Mary Finnegan.
Ladies and gentlemen, Louis Black.
Get ready for the comedy of Louis Black, the King of Rant, performing live at the Stanley Theater in Utica, Friday, March 3rd at 8 p.m.
Why was their marriage so successful? It's because they never heard a word the other one said.
Louis Black with special guest Jeff Stilson. Tickets available through Ticketmaster by calling the Stanley Theater box office 315-724-4000.
By God, you feel good for at least an hour and 15 minutes.
Louis Black at the Stanley Theater, Friday, March 3rd. Tickets now on sale.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
All right, Michael this morning saying, George Carlin was an equal opportunity ripper of people. You'd agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. It wasn't like he's going after one certain crowd. He was going after everybody. So you talked earlier about the clip where George Carlin is on The View. And
a couple times, actually. But and I'm not entirely sure this is the one.
This might not be the one, but there's a moment here
there is a moment
where it kind of supports what you were talking about.
Yeah.
So later in his career, he just got where things got a little dark in his shows.
No doubt about it. He was a little angry, I would say.
And here is here. Watch the reaction of the people on The View when he says what he says.
About having a comfortable place, and these people with the fires and the floods and everything, they overbuild, they put nature to the test, and they get what's coming to them. That's what I say.
Wow, that's really harsh.
That's what's happening. And I can't wait for the sea levels to rise. I can't wait for some of these. I can't wait for some of these cities to disappear.
I can't swim, George.
The places that are going to go away, the map is going to change, and that's because the real nature. People think nature is outside of them. They don't take into them the idea that we're part of it. They say, oh, we're going for a nature walk. We're going to the country because we like nature. Nature's in here. And if you're in tune with it, like the Indians, the Hopis especially, the balance of life, the harmony of nature, if you understand that, you don't overbuild. You don't do all this moron stuff. There are too many people.
What about the polluters? Let's go after them. The polluters, the corporations, they pollute.
It's a symphony. Everybody's in the band. It's not just one. It's not just one group. People want their goodies. They want their toys. Everybody wants the newest gizmo. We're slaves to gizmos and toys.
They got it today. I don't think they're unhappy.
Okay, they are clearly uncomfortable, and for good reason, right? Wow.
Yeah, that's that is
the Joy Behar is like you can almost see them sweat as he's talking away there.
Yeah, he could care less what they think. If he wanted to express the fact that he's angry with everybody, that's what he's going to say. And he thinks everyone's to blame. He doesn't think that one side or the other's to blame.
Well, right.
He
When
thinks
she's saying it's the corporations.
Oh, it's the corporations. They're terrible.
That's the thing about this is it's easy to blame the corporations, but if those corporations go away, we don't get all our stuff. Right? I mean, we're a part of that.
That's right.
The corporations don't exist without
that's what
demand.
George was trying to say. Yeah.
So
they're not forcing you to buy the new phone or the new sneakers or the new shirt or whatever.
But this is a great example. You're right. That's exactly what it is. This is a great example of when you're sitting and you're watching a show, and all of a sudden he's talking about the Hopi Indians. Like, where are we going with this? And you get lost a bit in the weeds, and he would be just pontificating what was going through his head. What an amazing observer he was.
He believed that everybody was responsible. He didn't put all the blame on corporations. He wasn't fond of overbuilding and polluting, but he thought that we were all just asking for it.
Right.
We're asking for it. We want it. Don't tell me you don't want it. Don't tell me you're not a part of the problem.
Right.
You can't just blame one side. And they're looking at him like, wait a minute, you mean we're a part of the problem? Yeah, you.
Right.
Look at you. You're sitting there with the toys. Don't tell me you don't want the toys. You're holding them in your hand.
And they're living that life where they're flying all over the place, and you're blaming pollution on everybody else, but anything that you do is okay. It's not a part of it. Well, it is a part of it.
Of course it is.
That's kind of where he was going with it. Very interesting stuff.
Also, he was saying about how, I think he was being complimentary of Native Americans, and he used the term Indian. So the countdown is on, by the way, before we rebrand.
Oh, dear.
We rebrand George Carlin the biggest racist of the 60s.
I guess, right? Because you can't
use that one
certain
word.
Things you can't use, you can't say. All right, I do want to switch gears just a little bit. I know these guys have been waiting to come on. Joe Beatrice with the Utica Council. I want to tell you, Steve, everyone around here now is all fighting over the traffic patterns because we don't normally, in this town, we don't normally wait for anything. You don't wait to get into a restaurant. You don't wait in traffic. But all of a sudden, as the traffic patterns have changed, traffic is getting backed up, and people are up in arms over it. Joe is one of the council people, and he is on the line right now, Joe Beatrice. Also, Katie Aiello is a Utica councilwoman. Joe, good morning. I know Katie this was really her brainchild. What do you think here, Joe?
Well, as far as what I think, it doesn't really matter what I think because the Complete Streets program was passed in 2016, and that's not the issue that went on the other night. They passed a resolution, which basically means nothing. The mayor and the administration has the right to do a trial sample at any time. So my biggest problem was the other night was they gave me a piece of paper 15 minutes before the meeting, asking to pass this resolution, and I didn't know anything about it. I'm not against this program. We wanted to put it in committee so we can have a meeting, see everything what it entails, see the safety of it. And I guess the icing on the cake was when we asked the police chief and the fire chief if they've seen this plan, and they both responded at the same time I seen it, 15 minutes before the meeting or when they came to the meeting. So that's what my biggest gripe is. I can't tell you about this program, Bill, because I don't know about it. They passed this in 2016. It's called the Complete Streets, and I just didn't understand what the hurry was to send a resolution up before we had a meeting to go over it. So that's where my issue lies on it.
I have Katie in studio now. Katie Aiello, you're obviously for this.
Very much so.
Very much so. You do know that there are a lot of people that are very against it and
very for it as well.
And very for it.
Yeah,
but I'm kind of giving you the for it people. You're the group of for it, and then there are those that are against it. And I do think there's a large enough crowd. Anytime, as Jeff said earlier, anytime there's change.
Oh, we do so poorly with change.
We don't handle that well. However, I do think this is kind of unique. Already right now with the change in the traffic pattern downtown at the intersection of Genesee and Oriskany, you're seeing traffic get backed up. You have to see it outside your coffee shop where traffic is like yesterday. I actually saw a video. Traffic was backed up all the way up past the Gold Dome Bank. So how will this make that any better?
That's interesting. Was that actually so a lot of what I experienced in front of my street.
There was not construction during this.
That's also a big part of this is when people are double parked out there. But there's so many aspects of this. We can just jump in halfway, but I'd rather address some of the main frequently asked questions that I get every time.
Okay.
So the Complete Streets, a lot of people from day one, we can address where people felt caught off guard last night in the meeting, but
you heard Joe. Joe feels caught off guard.
Right, and let's start there. This has something that's been, obviously the Complete Street policy was made in 2016. I understand the checklist that Councilwoman Samantha Clausmo-Testa had. That's what I've been going off of.
Yeah.
I have not hit every business owner on Genesee Street, but quite
the Stanley's really against this.
And we'll address all that too.
Okay. Mellow subs. Okay.
And just because
listen, Bill. Before I didn't realize I was going to be called in on when Katie was there when you asked me to come this morning. I'm not here to go against anybody else, so I'm going to tell you right now. She can sit there and talk about anything she wants. This is not about against the Complete Streets program. The problem is nobody knows what was going on. And
Joe, I got a fight going on here. You're going to wuss out on me? Come on, man. What are you doing? Stay in. Stay tough. Stay strong.
Let's start there. This has been going on for months.
Yes.
Even so, there are people I've met with who are now saying maybe that didn't happen. That doesn't matter. I think maybe they thought it was like a hypothetical conversation or any of that. But this has been happening for months. I was going to put up real, true legislation of let's implement this. But then we went back talking with business owners. The number one thing I always heard, this was when it was first proposed in like 2011, 2012. There was a median in the middle of the road, diagonal parking, which meant parking would actually get lost. Every time I talk with people, they immediately go there and they think there's a median. And
there is not.
There's no median in this.
Right.
And this is based on the input from the past few months we got from business owners and residents. There's also was a concern of people still need delivery zones. So
the Stanley, for instance.
I think that you're going to be a unique case. This is still going to be, this is a 90-day trial, but it's about implementing what's going to work block by block for people. And that
So the 90-day trial, does that mean that the traffic pattern is going to change for the next 90 days?
Yes.
So there'll be maybe like dividers put up directing people to go into certain lanes. How do we do that?
Dividers, it's just going to be, so this is all came up because Saturday the road is getting painted. It was just paved.
All right.
It was pushed back. And then now that it's being painted, once I heard that, okay, I want a trial. We need to do this, see what happens.
So the painting of the road is going to be with the new traffic pattern. This is how this is the 90-day test.
And people said, why don't we just wait and talk about this out more?
Yeah.
I feel like it would be a waste of just taxpayer money to paint it back to the old 4 lanes and then grind it down, repaint again to try the trial. What if we don't implement it that way? It's just another step.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of these things that people have concerns about, and they were thought through. I just need them to give me the chance of how we ended up where we are today.
Okay. Joe is very against everything you're doing, right, Joe?
No, I'm not. I'm not.
I know it's not like that
great.
at all.
Please don't put those words in my mouth.
This is terrible. I can't even believe this.
I wanted to learn more about it before I voted on something.
Okay, right?
Completely.
Is that okay?
Something that I don't know about. So that's exactly what I'm talking about. And Katie knows that. When she told me it, showed me it, I said, yeah, this might be great, but I don't. Why can't we just have a meeting, explain it, go through the checkpoints, and do it?
I got to tell you, reading your quote in the OD, you seem, Joe, like you're against it.
That's all I'm telling you.
Did you read your quote in the OD?
What's that?
Did you read the OD today?
No, I didn't.
You're in it, and it talks about how you think it's going to be dangerous for delivery drivers and that sort of thing.
Because I don't know what their plan is. Yeah, it could be dangerous. You're going to go in the middle of the road. You're going to put a truck to deliver in the middle of the road, and he's going to have a hand cart full of whatever he's delivering, crossing a lane of traffic.
Yeah.
I don't know. What I'm trying to tell you
See, Katie, he's against it. Are you listening? He's
No,
against it.
he said he wants to learn more, and that's what I'm on here to talk about instead. It's like, let's learn more.
All right, stand by, Joe. Stand by. Stop yelling. Come on.
So another part of this, people say that the first responders weren't made aware of it. And in the meeting, I was saying how I met with, not formal meetings, but I had discussions with county planning board people. I had discussions with state DOT.
Okay.
All of our local engineers. And even with the first responders, I don't know if earlier in the meeting I said one of the first concerns that came up was if we do this, right now the traffic lights on Genesee Street are not timed.
Right. That is a problem, yes.
And if we can implement, I forget what it's actually called, but it's a system for every traffic light where first responders, DPW, could have control of the light to get and do what they need to do. That conversation came from a conversation with the chief fire.
Okay.
And we were just on a clean sweep walkthrough. At that time, I showed multiple presentations of what the street could look like. I understand his point of no, there was no formal meeting or finalization of this. I'm sure they were also shocked that it was coming up for the Saturday.
Very quickly.
I so believe in this, and I'm not trying to dismiss anybody's concerns, but I know where the answers lie in them, and I'm confident that this is going to be safer and better for businesses. But yeah, if you
how do you handle the complaint that the Stanley has? So they're saying they need to unload. For instance, coming up on Tuesday for a Broadway show, they're going to have to unload, and this is going to impede that whole operation.
I don't see how. I think another confusion is people think there's the pavement's changing. The pavement's not changing. We're still going to have the same 64 feet of pavement.
So what you're saying, though, is on a day that they have to load up, they'd call the police. The police would come out, maybe alter the traffic pattern for that, as they already do.
So when I say delivery zones, I'm talking about our FedEx and UPS trucks. I'm not saying they're freight that they basically have over there. That is a unique exception. Just like now, there's no designated delivery zone that they abide to. We're going to accommodate these things. We're not trying to hinder anybody's experience. We're trying to make it more accessible for everyone.
All right. Joe, you want to respond to that?
No.
I'm going to start calling you Kumbaya from now on.
For a whole different reason today. So I didn't realize that this is what this was going to be. All I'm said, I'm not for this. I'm not against it. I don't know about it. So that's the only reason I voted the way I voted.
Okay.
So whatever you guys are coming up with, that's fine. That's fine by me. But there's a lot of stuff that wasn't explained to us beforehand, and there was no way I could vote for this resolution, which, by the way, the resolution means absolutely nothing, because we could have voted against it. We could have voted against it, and it could have passed against it, and the mayor could implement it anyways. The administration's got the authority to do any temporary roads 90 days.
Okay.
They don't need a resolution to do that. So,
all right, is the mayor for this?
He's been for complete streets all along.
Yeah,
When we did a trial run of this up at Jewett Place.
Yeah.
The response was overwhelmingly positive that people did like it in the survey. And the council at that time, though, didn't understand the importance of complete streets, I think.
Right,
and
right.
they're the ones who tore it apart. We still have the surveys that said, do you like this? Would you like to see it implemented in other parts of the street? The answer was yes.
So it includes a bike lane?
Yes.
Any seating area for restaurants?
No, it's in the middle of the road.
Well, tell that to the people in New York City. In the middle of the road, Broadway became...
Yeah, you're right.
There are seats in Broadway. You sit and eat, and you're on the street.
This is another thing I
crazy.
want to address. I've had the question, how do plows get through? If our plows can keep 4 lanes of traffic cleared now, they're going to be able to keep 3 lanes of traffic cleared.
And the same width will
This is
exist.
the same. Yeah, we're just painting stripes.
Okay.
And the same question comes up: how will first responders get through? If first responders can get through now, of 54 feet of pavement, with 4 lanes of traffic in the way, they're going to be able to get through that same 54 feet of pavement with 3 lanes of traffic in the way.
All right. So what you're saying is the lines will change, the width of the road, none of that is going to change. There are not going to be any medians.
Parking's not changing.
There'll be none of that. Then Joe, why are you so against this?
Don't frame it that way. He didn't know these parts of it, and I
that's the
understand
part.
that.
Joe, are you learning though from what Katie is saying? Is this helping?
I want to see it. I want to see the proper process go through. I want to see the checkpoints. That's all. I want to see everything that's supposed to be done before I vote on something. That's all I'm telling you. Okay.
Right.
So there's no need to keep saying I'm against it because I'm concerned.
I don't know who's saying that. I don't know who's saying that.
You said it 3. You said it 3 times today.
I might have.
that I'm
It's
against
possible.
it.
I could have
okay?
done that.
I don't know what I was voting on, and that's the way everybody else felt. We wanted to put it in committee, discuss it more.
But isn't that over with now? Isn't that that's?
So is probably for it. Samantha passed it. She's the one who passed the complete streets.
Okay.
So nobody's against it. We just don't know. You don't come 15 minutes before a meeting and give me a paper and tell me this is what we're voting on. That's what my issue is. My issue is not with the complete street program.
Okay.
I appreciate the separation of that. And from my standpoint, I think...
All right, Joe, I'm going to hang up on you, okay?
Yeah, I'm going to hang up, too. Thanks a lot. Have a good day.
All right, Joe.
He's a very happy man this morning.
I just want to be clear, that was all you. I had nothing to do with that.
I don't even know what happened there. That went south very quickly. I don't know how it happened.
A few points here is... Okay, every time I explained and it's had the conversation with a business owner and somebody explaining the complete street process, it was those same mental hangups and those visual concerns, plows, medians, all these things that aren't actually true to the process. I keep re-explaining it to people. I think nobody's going to be able to fully understand and grasp it until we experience it.
Until you do it.
And
let me ask you this. We're and I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm still trying to get my head around the whole thing. But Monday morning, we're going to have the Stanley on. Would you come back on Monday when we have the Stanley on? Because I think you could accomplish an awful lot by us all getting into the same room or on the same line, however we're going to do it.
I would absolutely. I also would appreciate the time to fully give people the plan. People are asking questions that we have the answers to because we weren't trying to ruin anybody's business. Like this is in favor of stuff, and I think they're going to be very pleased with the answers.
When it's all said and done.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you do that? How do you communicate this with everyone? I mean, I realize you're here
on
today.
Monday morning's Keeler show.
Let's do it on Monday. Yeah.
I do. If people actually, I would really appreciate it on my Facebook page, Katie for Utica. You can go to my actual one, Katie Aiello.
Okay.
I made a whole 8-minute video showing people the road and what this is going to be like in the visual. But my big takeaway too, I understand what Joe's saying completely. He wasn't in the rooms, and for the months of conversations I've had, I can understand that. I hope he can just trust what I'm trying to do for my district. I think a good idea that gets done is better than like the perfect execution and plan that gets talked about for months and years.
Okay.
And this is a 90-day trial, and I'm hoping people don't think of this 90-day trial as do we do complete streets or not. I'm hoping they think of it as what is the best way to implement it for my block.
When does the 90-day trial begin?
Saturday then.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is this a good time to do it? Would it be better to do it in like June when
I actually liked. I
like the
do it
winter?
whenever. I will keep biking until November. That's another thing I hear is
You're a big biker.
Yeah, that people say there's no bikers. That's not true. I feel like they don't see me on the road. That's a concern. For every biker that comes to my coffee shop and parks their bike on the street or on the pole, that's one more free parking space available for businesses. There's so much positives to this. So yeah, this would go till January. President Mike Leamy brought up a good thing that let's see how this does work in the snow too. So now we're going to get a little bit of the colder end of the months here, and then the really cold ones to come.
Where are we going to put the panhandlers? That's the question I'm getting. Where will they stand?
At the drop-in centers where we have support and help for people in need.
Okay, because that's been a real, certainly a real problem. Okay, so Monday you'll come on. Can you send me some of the materials that I can actually?
I would really appreciate it, though. There's people.
Okay.
This is a confusing process for people.
I understand.
think when we're reducing lanes, that it's going to actually create more traffic. That's not the case. We have between 4 lanes.
Well, not necessarily creating more traffic, but creating congestion.
Right.
That's the
part
fear,
of this.
right?
So we have 4 lanes of roads and cars. That's to accommodate 20,000 plus cars a day. Utica, New York has less than 10,000 cars a day. We're going in line with the traffic patterns and complementing what has already being done, and it's coming with things like the Welcome Bridge, with the new infrastructure money coming from that. So
do you fear though that with the hospital and the Nexus Center coming in, that will increase traffic?
It's not about even if it does, that's still going to. I don't think we'll hit over 10,000 plus on that.
Okay.
We can always accommodate, but the hospital coming is all the more reason I want to get this done now. Get it done while we're getting used to the road pattern. We're going to have way more pedestrians. It's not safe to walk or bike or to get a stroller, or if you're blind or if you have a disability, if you're aging, if you're just a normal walker.
Okay. On Genesee Street?
On Genesee Street.
Yeah,
on
well,
a lot
she's
of our
right
streets.
about that, 100%.
It's 30 miles an hour now, but when the road is that expansive, people fly through. And they're using downtown to get through it, not to come to it. If you want to get through it, go down the arterial. Come to it, we'd love to have you.
Okay. So the suggestion is, though, maybe you don't take Genesee Street. That is part of the suggestion. Maybe you take one of the.
I think you're still going to be able to take Genesee Street just fine. And to give people a visual understanding, if you're in a lane, you're on the block, you're using the 2 lanes north or southbound right now, your experience is only going to change by half of a block in one lane. The middle, there's going to be a northbound, southbound. There's still 12 feet wide lanes, and then there's a 12-foot middle lane that's going to be for turning lanes. So your experience, and this might be visually hard to understand, but that's why I say let's just put it on the road and
see it. The other part, why I asked you to send me some materials, because I can put them up on TV that when we're talking Monday. The other part is this whole congestion that's occurring there right now because of the change at the corner of Genesee and Oriskany. You don't see that because your business is right down there. I have a video that shows traffic going all the way back, and it was not construction related.
I would love to see it in that case. If it's should we accommodate our entire roads to handle 15 minutes at 4:30 p.m. every day? I don't know. I think not. If that's what we're talking about. But overall, I would like the chance. I don't think it's going to be fair or right if I want to take the Stanley's concerns. They're not the only ones with concerns, and thoroughly reflect on them.
They have fair concerns.
But there's a lot that is misunderstood about this, so
Okay.
I want people to give this the time to understand the process and the importance of this.
Okay.
And then we can get into the debate of everything else.
All right. So it begins Saturday. This is the test. Drive through and experience it. You want people to drive after the lines are painted. You want people to drive through and see how wonderful it is.
It's going to take time, but so that is
okay.
how this goes. That's
all right.
So that's down.
Right.
And can I just say, I made a video. It went viral. I had an interview recently with Business Insider over it, and I'm telling people to move to Utica, underdeveloped towns.
I saw
like
that
this.
video. Yeah.
And I got so much. My email is flooded with people saying I want to, but I don't want to have a car. I want public transportation, a bike. If we're going to attract people, retain people, we need multiple forms of transportation.
I do think if you're going to attract a younger demographic, it's something about it's different today. Yeah. Not everybody. When I turned 16 years old, the first thing I did is that day I went to the DMV. I had to force my kids to go to the DMV. I'm like, what are you guys doing? I mean, it's your birthday. We're going to the DMV. That's what we do.
Yeah,
they didn't see it that way.
Right.
And I do think that especially when you get into the larger cities, but even stretching out to cities the size of Utica, it's a different approach to driving.
And it's interesting that we don't. It's not like we
driving is freedom to me.
If my friends go to a dinner, a dinner place in a restaurant in New Hartford, 4 of us drive separate. This is a lot of cars on the road. We talk about wanting to keep how do we help all these potholes? Well, let's get more bikers. Let's get more walkers. Make it actually an enjoyable experience downtown.
Well, I don't want
Please fix the pothole before
I don't
the
want to
bikers.
bike to dinner because I'll be all sweaty by the time I get there.
That, but I bike to dinner,
You
and
do?
so do my friends. That was, the comment was made. Nobody in the Stanley area goes. I biked to Nostra last week and met my friend there. And I know it's just
It's uphill. I hope you
the
understand
best thing
that.
I want to say.
Yeah.
Up to Nostro from my spot.
Yeah, that's
the bike.
long. I mean, it's a slow grade.
I thought you meant the argument. But yeah, this is
the argument's uphill too.
There's one conversation I had though. It's the quote that you can't justify a bridge by seeing how many people swim across the river. And it just really stuck with me, and I hope people can be open-minded in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
Can I just say that Mrs. Keeler has a bike with a seat on the back, but I think you've outgrown it.
You think?
So I think you guys are still taking the car.
I'm now sitting in the basket.
What about some pegs?
Maybe. It's all there. It's all possible.
We'll resume the convo Monday.
Let's arrange this Monday for
Yes.
Monday
And I
between the
appreciate this.
Stanley
I'm really excited for where Utica's going. I'm here for the conversations and every nuance of it. So, Katie, for Utica.
can I just say that our comedian Steve Schaefer is completely lost in this conversation?
I'm actually enjoying myself.
Has no clue what we're arguing about here.
I'm
so.
impressed.
All right.
you.
Very
And,
nice.
do we have to cut to break? Because there was something you said
In a
about the
second.
weather earlier.
Okay, go
and
ahead.
The,
Go ahead.
The
Go ahead.
El Nino and all this. I heard the beekeepers see that the bees are not. We're going like left field here, but the
Okay.
bees aren't collecting as much pollen right now, so it's going to be a good winter. Easy.
But what does that mean? So it'll be 37 instead of 34?
Well, 2 years ago, the bees kept enough pollen, like a ton, and the winter lasted till April and May.
How in
So
the hell
now-
do you know the bees kept pollen?
I don't know. So we need beekeepers here because this
Okay.
is from Ottawa. So I will trust the beekeepers, and we'll go from
All
there
right.
and then
Very
evaluate.
nice.
Thank you.
Katie is the
I'm
bee's
gonna
knees.
I'm gonna trust that woolly caterpillar. That the orange part is really long this year, so that means long winter. Or, I just saw my first robin. I don't know. There's always actually my grandmother had an ache in her hip. That means we're gonna have a lot of snow. I wonder which one of these is real. But maybe the pollen is the way to determine it. So, what are you saying? Long winter?
They're saying a shorter winter.
Shorter winter.
Shorter winter.
Let's hope so.
Yep, a mild winter.
All right, I like it. Katie, thank you. I do
Thank you
always
so much.
enjoy it.
I'll see you guys
and
Monday.
I appreciate your passion in this. It's important to stand up for
Thank
what you
for
believe in.
giving us the platform to speak. You say, how do we
Okay.
get the word out? It's radio shows like this, so everybody
Okay.
keep engaged.
And make sure I get pictures so I can use
Yes.
those.
And
People
the,
can.
the picture we presented Wednesday at the council meeting, that is a mock-up. It's
Okay.
not the finalized version, so
All right,
I'll
fair
get you
enough.
everything.
Okay. Thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
Got a break.
Comedy show.
Am I right? You
Yes,
should
yes,
come.
yes.
Fat Cats Comedy Club in Washington Mills.
Tonight and tomorrow.
Tonight and tomorrow. Go to fatcatscomedyclub.com. He has.
There's a whole show going
There's a
on
whole
within the show.
There is a show within the show. Let that show continue while we break, and we'll come right back. It's 8:52.
Long before the sun rises and the highways are busy with traffic, before the kids are on the buses and first shift workers begin their day, Sheriff Rob Mashel is hard at work, making sure our community is a safe place for all of us to live. It's what keeps him up at night and gets him up early every day. It's his passion. It's his purpose. It's his job.
I'm Oneida County Sheriff Rob Mashel. The men and women of the Oneida County Sheriff's Office are making a positive difference. Children are safer in schools because a trained officer is on duty at almost every school. Our deputies stand with area police departments to combat increased crime. If we continue working together, we'll keep Oneida County safe. I'm Oneida County Sheriff Rob Mashel. Law enforcement is my family. Your safety and their safety matter to me.
This November, re-elect Rob Mashel, your Oneida County Sheriff. Paid for by friends of Rob Mashel.
Welcome to Harley-Davidson of Utica. Walls of helmets up to 40% off. 25% off of all women's bling shirts. We finally got bikes in. Buy one, you get a free cruise for the month of October. And don't forget our chili cook-off, October 22nd. Welcome to Harley-Davidson of Utica. Walls of helmets up to 40% off. 25% off of all women's bling shirts. We finally got bikes in. Buy one, you get a free cruise for the month of October. And don't forget, come in and store your bike with us for the winter.
I'm William Mattar. Big truck crashes often result in serious injuries or death.
After a big truck crash, call William Attar, the largest motor vehicle accident firm in the state. After a serious truck crash, call us right away so our immediate response team can preserve evidence while you focus on your family. Truck crash? Call William Attar, 315-444-4444, South State Street, Syracuse.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
All right, and I am so sorry, Andrea, because we've gotten way backed up. I'm so sorry, Steve Schaefer, because we've gotten way backed up here.
I'm happy.
He spent the morning talking traffic with us.
I heard.
And George Carlin. Okay, a lot of stuff going on. Let's get this in, and we'll bring you back next week to talk about other stuff that is in the news at the zoo. But we need a zebra update first. What do we know?
So the zebra update. Our female zebra, Zakora, joined us at the zoo last October from Florida. And she was pregnant when she got here. And she had her foal on July 30th. And we recently released the news that the foal is out on exhibit so that visitors can see her. Her name is Zara, which means radiance.
How do you spell the name of the
new one? Zara, Z-A-R-A.
No, I didn't know what a baby zebra was called. I guess
foal.
I never.
Yeah.
A foal?
Yeah, F-O-A-L.
F-O-A-L.
Like
I
a
did not
horse.
know that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And so Zakara and Zara are out on exhibit now, and people can see them. And they are a mountain zebra, Hartsman mountain zebra. So our terrain is pretty good for them. And, yeah.
Meaning that they are okay in cooler weather.
They are. I mean,
Yeah.
we just built a new barn. We had a lot of help, a lot of donors to get a new barn and a new, it's a very nice barn. Our keepers had a lot of input on what it needed. And so it's warm, it's cool, it's, it has what it needs.
Love it. Okay, let's talk about Spooktacular.
Yes, it's going to be such a great weekend. The weather is going to be beautiful.
You are getting the perfect weekend.
You know, we need it. We just need a really good thing at the zoo this weekend. We need a lot of people to come and support us because we're headed into that time period where our revenue is actually lower than our expenses.
Right.
And so from 10 to 3 each day, it's cost of regular admission. Members still get in free. And then to do all the things for Spooktacular, it's a $4 charge.
Okay.
You get a trick-or-treat card, 13 trick-or-treat stations. Max Sheldon is performing tomorrow from 11 to 1. I don't know if you've ever seen him play out, but he's great.
Very good.
And then on Sunday, we have the Happy Hags. Cookies Q will be open for the last weekend of the fall, and then they'll be back next spring. And we just have a lot of vendors, magician, a lot of things going on.
Spooktacular is this weekend and next weekend, or just this weekend? Just this weekend.
Next weekend, we're doing a really cool thing with our keepers. We're doing a pumpkin smash, which we take all of our uncarved pumpkins and we do different things with them to create enrichment for the animals. So there might be some meat stuck in one of them that would make an animal kind of like really go after it and rip it apart. That's what they would do in the wild. So we do enrichment to mimic what animals would do in the wild so that they are.
All right, that's cool.
Doing what? Doing
Next
well.
week. But this weekend, it's Spooktacular.
Spooktacular.
Great to bring the kids out for this.
Saturday, Sunday. Please dress up. It'll be great.
We got to do
10 to 3.
10 to 3. All right, great. Thank you.
Parking at MVCC in the Parkway. Please use the shuttles
Okay.
because we don't have a lot of parking.
And you'll come back next week and we'll talk about the union thing.
We'll do.
Okay, cool. Enjoy the weekend.
Can't wait.
All right, how about? All right, thank you. As always, Steve Schaefer, thank you so much. You've had some amazing stories.
I'm happy to be here and happy to meet somebody from the zoo. I'm a big fan.
And
you guys have wonderful people on your show today.
Davey, let's do. We'll do one more table here. So a table for 6. Pick any show tonight or tomorrow to see Steve Schaefer, and Joshua Ryan at Fat Cats Comedy Club this weekend. If you like Italian food, I think you'll enjoy this city. We have a lot of diverse cuisines for, again, a city this size. It's pretty good. So.
Looking forward to it.
All right, cool.
Impressive young lady, Katie.
She's on on a mission, right?
I was impressed.
What do you think of the you're driving down Broadway in New York, and all of a
I
sudden,
get ticket. All I do is travel, and all I do is drive anymore, and I
Right.
get tickets all the time. And usually speeding tickets.
Speeding.
And police officers always want to know, how come I'm going so fast? I love that one. How come? How
Yeah.
come? How come? And well, quite frankly, to be honest with you, I didn't see you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely
I am not
right.
as dumb as I look.
Right.
I look.
Right. And is that a fair answer? Are they
No,
okay
they
with
hate
that
it.
answer?
They're
hate
not
that
fond
answer.
of it, quite frankly.
I know.
But I did actually have a police officer ask me. I would say I'm late for a show. I told him I was a comedian. He said, "Tell me a joke and I'll let you go." I told him a joke and he let me go.
That's a good thing.
He was a good police officer.
Don't get stopped here. They don't like jokes.
Okay.
Steve Schaefer, Fat Cats Comedy Club this weekend. Davey, what did I say? Caller number 315-736-0186. And we're back here on Monday morning. Enjoy your weekend. A beautiful weekend on the way. Go UC or Utica College, UP, I guess it would be, Utica Pioneers. And Syracuse tomorrow playing on ABC at 12 noon.
Cold beer, hot lights, my sweet romantic teenage night.
Friday, November 4th, the Stanley Theater rocks again with Ricky Z's Billy Joel Tribute Show. This is a must-see all-star performance with Rick Zaccaro, Mark Bolos, Greeley Ford, Scott Rutledge, Mike Galimi, John Dugan, Julia Scranton, and Ron Zaccaro. Help Ricky Z donate more pianos to our local elementary schools. Friday, November 4th at the Stanley Theater in Utica.
From the Excellus Blue Cross Blue Shield Studio, WIBX 950 Utica Rome, W295DI Utica Rome, your news, talk, and sports leader, Town Square Media Station.
Is Steve Bannon going behind bars? I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The former Trump White House advisor was met with some hecklers a short time ago, arriving at a Washington court for sentencing. The Justice Department wants Bannon to get 6 months in prison for refusing to cooperate with Democrats probing last year's Capitol attack.
Bannon was found guilty by a jury of willfully disobeying a subpoena from the House committee investigating the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. The subpoena had asked Bannon to provide records and testimony about his knowledge of the effort to overturn the 2020 election results. Bannon's lawyers say he shouldn't spend any time behind bars and should only receive probation.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. In another probe into 2020 election fraud claims, an appeals court's ruled Republican Senator Lindsey Graham must testify before a grand jury in Georgia, investigating attempts by then-President Trump and others to overturn Joe Biden's win in that state. Thousands of police officers from around the U.S. and Canada are gathering this in Connecticut for the funerals for two Bristol officers ambushed and murdered, Dustin DeMonte and Alex Hamzy.
Fun-loving, good guy who would always help anyone he could.
It's a very tough day. You know, it's impossible to put into words.
Kept me out of trouble when I was in trouble.
The two thought they were responding to a domestic disturbance that instead was a setup, luring them into an ambush that left a third officer wounded. One suspect was killed and returned fire, the other arrested. We still don't know the motive, but we're learning more about last week's mass shooting that left 5 people in Raleigh, North.
Opened fire in his Raleigh neighborhood and along a nearby walking trail. The shooter hasn't been identified by police because of his age, but he was identified by his parents this week as Austin Thompson. He's still hospitalized after being found with a single gunshot wound.
That's Fox's Jill Nato. America's listening to Fox News.
When you're an innovative business, every blinking cursor, every blank page is an opportunity. What will you do with it? Will you make something better or create something new? Our Dell Technologies advisors provide you with tools and expertise to do incredible things. Because we believe there's an innovator in all of us. For advice on smart PCs powered by Intel vPro that's built for business, call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
Smith & Wesson is committed to empowering Americans no matter what. With inflation hitting everywhere, we've decided to make a change. Now, you can buy a Smith & Wesson Shield Plus, our most popular concealed carry firearm.